mission, oh yeah, yeah. Terrorizing old man, messing with the woman. He used to be grinning, like time catch up with him. He ain't grinning no more. His face always sour. Hey, hey. Oh, oh. The honor man crying. Yeah, yeah. The honor man falling. What goes around comes around. Oh, yeah, yeah. It went around and came around. Somebody on the honor man. Somebody on the honor man. Somebody on the honor man. A honor man on the honor man. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Do. The girl had a husband. Oh yeah. They called him stupid man. But I love the fat man, for he was a smart man. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He waited till the wife had another man, and that one was holding the honor man. And while they cursing and pulling knife, he take away the honor man wife. Oh oh, hey, hey. The honor man crying. Oh yeah, the honor man crying. What goes around comes around. It went around and came around. Somebody on the honor man. Yeah, yeah. Somebody on the honor man. Somebody on the honor man. Mm-hmm. A honor man on the honor man. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Happy when he wants somebody else. Since he got a good horn, acting like he no born. The big man getting on as a child, like he needs some tickle to make him smile. Same old man that he used to horn, the same man take a woman and go on. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. The honor man crying, oh, oh. The honor man calling. What goes around comes around. It went around and came around. Somebody on the honor man. Yeah, yeah. Somebody on the honor man. You didn't hear? Somebody on the honor man. Honor man, on the honor man. Do-do. The man started to slim down.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Relationsips Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live from the Workers' Rights Network tonight. We have a very special guest on tonight. And, you know, there was a voice note that was sent to me, and I reached out to the individual concerning the voice note that have been aired through the public domain. And you know, we think that you just borrowing a little half an hour from the program as to go into this story. But you know, this is Baccanal Saturday, and we have a very interesting topic that, you know, many of you might seem a little bit controversial, but this is necessary that, you know, that you tune into it. So Whilst we wait on the guests to configure it, whilst we wait on the guests to configure it, we are going to play this video.
They call him stupid man, but I love the fat man, for he was a smart man.
Box yourself away. What do you mean, honey? I see the tears in your eyes. What do you mean box yourself away?
I feel like I'm not as good as everybody else because they all got dads. You know?
Oh,
Don't ever feel
just
like
break
that.
my heart. Don't you ever feel like that. Do you hear me? Look at me. Don't you ever feel like that. You are worth it. You are just as good.
You ain't
You
any
are. Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's why we're here for you, because you are important and worth it. And whether we get the answer today or not, you still are worth it. You understand me? That just breaks my heart.
Mine too.
And that's why we do this. That is why I will do this to the day they say I can't do it no more. Because I don't care what it is. And I want you to know that there are people that will go to war with you to find out the answers you need. And honey, you will never be in this fight by yourself. You got a soldier in me.
Right. So what we are going to play here is a voice note that would have been explaining a situation in which we're still waiting on the guest for she to join us here, live here tonight. So we're going to play a voice note again, in which we find that it is very important that you tune in, listen to this, that would have been taking place here. Now, many of you don't know about this customer service in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, as I say, we're borrowing a little 20 minutes from the program as to explain this situation here for you. So don't shift your dial. Right, so we're going right into the voice note that was sent, and we will get the guests to come in and explain this whole situation there within its fullness. So before we hop into that voice note, let us see. So we're going to play this voice note. Pay attention as to what's taking place. And after we will come back on the back end and we go chop this thing up. By that time the guest should be in.
Good day, members all. I wanted to send out a message and I was going to type it, but I realized it may take a bit too long. I'm about to send out some information regarding to people's rights, regarding persons' rights when it comes to purchases in Trinidad and Tobago, right? I'm sending out this information in light of an encounter that I had yesterday, which I'm going to be pursuing with the Consumer Affairs Division, right? One of the things that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm saying this because we have a lot of focus right now on what's going on in other parts of the world, which nothing wrong with looking at what's going on in other parts of the world. But when we take the focus out of home and we only look at what's going on in other parts, that's a problem too. Because things will be happening right under our noses that we should be paying specific attention to, that we should be addressing, that we will not be addressing because we rail up in other people's business. Other people's business who more than likely don't care about what's happening on our side, right? We had some very bad weather in the Caribbean recently, and people got very great devastation, right? And other parts of the world was going ahead with the business. All right? Other persons within the Caribbean helped and continues to help. I just reminding you all that then recently there was a storm passing in parts of the US, right? And it also caused devastation. The whole world is looking at what's taking place at the US, in the US. And I am not saying that the people there don't need help, they do. But I'm saying we have to look at our territory, because when the storm hit the Caribbean, a lot of other parts of the world was not studying the Caribbean. All right? But when things happen in the US and in other major countries, the Middle East and so on, everybody's focus is over there. Right? All right. So coming back to my point, I had an encounter yesterday, right, where I went to return an item that I purchased at a store on Charlotte Street, a store owned by Chinese people. I purchased the items day before yesterday, right? And when I got to where I was going the same evening, the item was not working well, right? It was a headset for my phone which started overheating my phone. I've never experienced this before since I own the phone. My phone started overheating. The headset volume would go right down. You cannot increase the volume. It may play for about a minute max, and that's it. So I went back yesterday, less than 24 hours after I purchased the item, to return it. And the Chinese woman told me dead in my face, no, she's not taking it back. She's not doing any returns. Right? On top of that, when I started voicing my opinion and my distress, she called a guy who apparently works for them, who looks just like me and you. You know, it always have those house Negroes ready to jump at their calling and their bidding, and they don't want to reason, especially if they feel they're getting a little small change from them. So he came out, but he couldn't intimidate me. Maybe somebody else, but not me. So I had them very busy in the store. I had them so busy that they had to call police for me yesterday. Well, at first they was telling me to call police for them. I said, I'm not calling police for you all. You all will have to call police for me. And I'm not leaving until I get my money back. All right. So it went on there. The guy tried to make me feel like I'm broken. I didn't have no money. That is why I quarreling to get my money back for a headset. You see the mindset of our people in this country? What he showed me there is that a lot of us willing to enrich These Chinese, by buying the old stuff, and when it in work, we just keeping it home or just throwing it away. And when we keep it home or throw it away, they still have our money. They still getting richer. They can rent buildings in Tongue on Charlotte Street and in other locations for $65,000 a month. And plenty of our people have to walk through a track to go where they live in. Right? Cannot afford to rent nowhere. But you go to the store, you spend a $50 or $100, or if it's a $40, and you feel that small money. The item never work, but you feel like small money. So you never go back. Just imagine if 100 people or 200 people do that for the month. Multiply that 100 by 50. That is $5,000 they make on items that never worked. If it's 200 people, that is $10,000 they made on items that never worked. Right? In our laws in Trinidad and Tobago, it is illegal for a company to tell you there is no refund or no exchange. That is against our laws. Right? It is illegal for a company to tell you there is no refund or no exchange. Once the item goes back in its original condition, you have the packaging, you have the receipt, you have the right to a refund, or if you choose, an exchange. Right? I did not want to do any exchange. Well, they didn't even give me the option, but I didn't want to do any exchange because the only headset that they had in the store was the same brand, the same exact packaging, everything. Why would I want the same headset that not working on my phone? But nevertheless, that option was not even explored. They didn't even say, let me test the headset to see if it's working on another device. Nothing like that. That woman watched me brazen in my face and tell me no. Even pointing to a sign on her computer that says no, don't disturb. Right? And this is not going to be the end of this situation at all because I didn't get the money back. The police came. Now, one of them again was trying to act like he come he had a calm demeanor, but he came with, a mentality that they have the right and I don't have no right, in a sense. I could go consumer affairs if I want, but he tried to give me the impression that I do have the right to protest. I say, sir, under the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, citizens have the right to make protest against any issue that is not fair and is not serving the people, right? He wanted to tell me now that if I have to do the protesting, it should probably be outside. I say, you have to show me in the law where they tell me where the protest must take place. If the issue happens in this store, I have the right to expound my protest right here in this store. Nevertheless, out of the batch of police that came, for the most part, all the others understood the situation. One of the officers was so helpful that he took the headset. He tried it on my device. I have an old headset that only works on one side.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, as I said, we had the person online, Miss Kellyanne. I know you joined us here a little late. You joined us here a little late. You hearing me? Hello. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't hear any at all. You're breaking up a little bit. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, we right here, we seen you, but I don't know if your internet a little Signal a little weak. Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the person here. So, we're trying to see if we could, get them here so they could explain the story a little more better, a matter of fact. So, what we will do here now, we will, seeing that we cannot get our line right about now, we will do a phone call.
I rejoined to see if perhaps you will hear me now.
Of course, I am hearing you. Yeah,
Okay, great.
you're very, very clear. Nice to see you. Nice to
Okay.
see you.
Same here, Sorry under the circumstances.
Oh gosh, well, you're always a guest here, Miss Kellyanne. Now, from the first wave movement, I mean, you was the director at the movement, or
I'm the Secretary General.
the secretary
Hmm.
general of the movement. Now, we would have picked up on a little voice note that that was playing through the public domain, and we find that it is very interesting, at least for people to hear as to what take place. From in their own words, it was lengthy. I doubt somebody might well, people mightn't understand, but seeing that this is the case, I mean, we have a large audience here, and they may want to hear, for in your own words, where you would have went through, and you would have told me explicitly that you would have went through the whole ordeal, so you could hit me the story, from start to finish. Let me, we could dissect it here on this program.
Right. Well, I think this is an important topic because, interestingly enough, just this evening, I went to a store, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm still on a quest really to get a good headset. The place that I would usually get a headset, apparently they out of stock and they said they wouldn't have until maybe another month. So other than if I wait for them, I would have to get it elsewhere, obviously. And in speaking to a young lady, interestingly, at one of the digital booths in the Long Circular Mall,
Hmm.
she actually told me that once you purchase the headset and you walk away, that's it. So I had to stop and say, ma'am, do not allow a company, because they're paying you a salary, to tell the customers something that is not legal. If you are not sure, verify before you tell customers this because it is not legal. Once a person walks away with the item, that does not mean they cannot return the item, right? So let me bring you back to the incident that happened. And I'm sure that I am not the only person this is happening to, which
Hmm.
is why it is so important when we experience something that we do not just leave it alone, because when you think you alone going through that ordeal, many others are experiencing it. It's just that those others may not have a voice. Those
True.
others may not be able to articulate what they're going through.
Hmm.
And as a result, sometimes it results in people taking other actions, right? So nevertheless, I went to the store. It's Leah Feng, I think. Now, the funny thing about it is the name of the store that you may see on your receipt may not be the name of that people know, that people call the store, right?
Hmm.
It's like here in Kentucky Fried Chicken for many years and seeing KFC. And people may think, okay, well, it means Kentucky. Yes, it means Kentucky Fried Chicken. But it is not, it's no longer legally registered under the name Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Hmm.
right? It is actually KFC. And people say, yeah, but it means the same thing. Yes, but from a legal standpoint, what is on the registration certificate is what the law goes by, not by the name you knew it as when you was a child,
Hmm.
right? A lot of people think that the law is emotional. The law is not emotional. The law is a principle, is principles. The law is based on principles, not emotions. All right. So you can feel how you feel. What does the legislation say is what we're going by?
Right.
Right? Okay. So I would have gone to the store. Now on the receipt, it appears as Leah Feng. I think is how it's pronounced. Now this store is a electronic store. They also sell some kitchen appliances and kitchenware and so on. They are just a little after Queen Street when walking up the Charlotte Street in the Charlotte Street area, right? They are between Queen and Prince Street on Charlotte Street. I sure many people would know what I'm talking about. They sell cell phones, they sell Bluetooth speakers and all those type of little gadgets. But most of them are made in China. Not most, all of the items they are Chinese made items. China. You know how it is with the Chinese. They don't
All
they
made in
don't buy
China.
from they don't buy from me and you. They patronize their country and they support each other in business. You're not going to try to sell a Chinese some goods and they're going to choose you over their Chinese counterparts. They are not, right? They are very, very loyal to their own people, something we could learn a little bit about, right? So I went to this store looking for two items, one being a USB cord, well, a C2C cord, and also I said, well, I'll peek at some headsets one time whilst I'm there. Prior to going there, I went to the Wiz store. They only had one type of headset, and I said, all right. So I got this C2C, and I had like about 3 minds about buying a headset from these people. I would take my chance with the C2C. That's like a USB cord. But
Hmm.
the headset thing, I am a headset person. I always have a headset in my ear. I'm always listening to something. If it's not a book, if it's not music or I'm in some meeting online. So a headset is a big deal. When I'm exercising,
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
show you right where I'm sitting right now. I probably have about 3 headsets hanging, but they are Bluetooth and some of them had issues. So anyway, so a young lady was helping me and she was very helpful and pleasant. And she said, if you're sure, you know what, if you're not sure, a Chinese thing, right?
Hmm.
So I said, all right, but I am one of the ladies. A lot of ladies like shopping. I could say that I'm one, but I don't like shopping for certain things. I like to shop in hardwares and I like to shop in cloth stores. I don't necessarily like to shop for clothes and I don't necessarily like to have to walk around too long to buy wares and some of the things the regular normal
Watch
ladies would
out,
like.
you're
I'm
a
not
man or
into
what?
that.
You're just like me.
I can spend the whole day in a hardware watching
Uh-huh.
all manner of tools and all manner of things, but when it comes to these gadgets and clothing and thing, I can't spend too much. So it's like I'm thinking to myself now, if I get the headset here, I don't have to go to another store to get a headset. So
Hmm.
I just thinking, oh, I could kill two birds with one stone right there and then, and I wouldn't have to go through this again.
Hmm.
But by the time I left, now I did play the headset in the store. But remember, that's like a couple seconds just to see if you're hearing.
Right, right.
So by the time I left there, and I reached to do a little stick, a little sweat, and I put it on, I realized the volume will go right down. My phone started getting hot. It started vibrating in my hand. And then I can't even raise the volume after that. If you give it a minute, then you put it back on, it will play for another couple seconds again, and then it will do you the same exact thing. I say, well, yes, after how much times I watched this headset and had 3 and 4 minds about buying it. And finally decided I will pick it up. There's why I going through, boy. But nevertheless, I'm a receipt person. I don't play with my receipts. Don't
Hmm.
come and tell me you purchase even a pack of cricks and you ain't bring my receipt. I vex. So I know I have my receipt. I have everything for the full packaging and everything. And I relax myself. I use my old one-sided headset with one ear working. And I say it's just for one evening I will make it. And then I said, next day I am going back there. Right? So I
Hmm.
went back there thinking this is going to be a real smooth, simple, quick transaction. All right? Lo and behold, I get there for the Chinese lady First, she started off when I told her, I said, "Good evening, I came to do a return." She firstly started off by pointing to a sign that says, "Don't disturb, do not disturb,"
So wait now,
that hanging on
so you spend
computer.
your money, and she's saying do this too.
I came with the package with the headset and the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Ma'am, I came to do a return," right? And she just proceeded to point. She started looking at the sign like, how I not, like, when she's trying to say, how she not seeing that sign?
Okay, okay.
And
You
then she,
spend your
she
money.
started pointing to the sign saying, this sign, look, this sign. So I will
Mm-hmm.
look at the sign now, and the sign says, "Do not disturb." And then she proceeds to speak in Chinese to another Chinese woman there who had a child in her hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I'm not even there. And then I turn now to well, it looks like a lady of East Indian descent who's cashing. But then when she spoke, I realized she's a Veni. So I,
Right.
I, I turned to her and I asked her, I told her because clearly maybe the other person busy, so maybe she would deal with the matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she told me there's a sign on the wall that says they don't do refunds. Mind you, the sign on the wall did not even say that. The sign on the wall said, "Check your items before you leave the store." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I circulated the receipt. If you saw the receipt that I circulated, and there's actually a caption just below stating that you have 7 days to return the item. It went on to say that if you want a refund, they can deduct 15% of the value, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is another thing that I don't know that is illegal. On what grounds are they try? Anyway, let I go on too far
Right, right, right,
because
right.
they
Because they
didn't
done.
even honor. They're not even willing to honor this statement on their own receipt that says you can return it within 7 days. Mind you, I am there within a 24-hour period, and a whole good day didn't even pass because I bought it like maybe around 2 o'clock the day before, and I'm back there maybe around 1:30, 2 o'clock very next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 7 days was far from even being finished or whatever, right? So here I am in an absolute state of shock, right? Because this is a relatively big establishment. You can to rent a building on Charlotte Street is, I'm not talking about a little booth. To rent an entire building on Charlotte Street could be in the proximity of $30,000 upward.
Right.
Right? And this is not a little corner of a booth. This is a whole entire store, which means containers of cargo will be going there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am in a state of shock that they're looking at me with dead in my face in this brazen way to tell me what they're telling me. And of course, I am not accepting this without protest. When I started now on that woman's case, and I told her I would not be leaving there without my money, and I realized she made up her mind that business will be going on as usual, right? I kept calling out to her. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am." And I was there blocking one of the cash registers
Mm-hmm.
because you all can't go on collecting money as normal and ignore me, a customer that has an issue and the item never worked,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm also telling customers who walk into the store, don't buy things from this place. They're selling um all items. They're selling things that are not working and they're not willing to take returns and so on. But of course, the average Trini that look like me and you, they don't care about that because Once they feel something not affecting them directly, oftentimes, to hell with you, to hell with the other person. That is where we reach as a society, and we need to stop that. Further to that, she recognized that I am giving a good challenge and fight. So she decides to call a black man like me and you, who apparently works for them or works with maybe whoever they contract to do security for them. He's not in a uniform, he's just in jeans and t-shirt. And he decides to come now and try to shame me, try to make me feel I'm broke for challenging their system and the way they're behaving.
Mm-hmm.
So me and him end up having a war of words, right? Where I had to tell him he's a house negro, for the want of better terms on your platform,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And a little Caesar. Because this is the height of betrayal, right? Betrayal that these Chinese people could call you and he weaponize you against me, a man who looks like me. When I say look like me, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I had to tell him, no Chinese would have defended, would have come to his support against another Chinese. I had to tell him that. I say, this is how stupid some of our people are. As I believe you are descendant of one of the African people who was selling their own people. It's something wrong. That is a strange behavior getting on with.
So,
Right?
so family, they
Even
roll you out. They roll you out.
well, I wouldn't go down the road of politics here right now. I
No,
want
no,
to
no,
keep it
no, no,
quiet
no.
on
Well,
this topic here.
he behaving like Rowley, but anyway, let me move from that.
Right? So we often have a group of people within the culture that other people can use against their own. Right? Trinidad and Tobago is one people. We know we are a mixture of cultures. Many of us are not even of, and I say we mix up, right? Many of us are not straight of anything, right? I myself, I have African, I have Amerindian, Carib, and also East Indian ancestry, right? And I can say we are melting pot. At the same time, you see a certain level of camaraderie among certain groups. And when you see that camaraderie, oftentimes there are people do. This is why they're doing better than us. And we are the ones who are patronizing their businesses. The Chinese people are depending 100% on our community to purchase and from their businesses for their businesses to thrive. And just by some of the ignorant statements that man made to me, I realized that we really need an education drive in Trinidad and Tobago as it relates to the rights of a consumer in Trinidad and Tobago. Because that guy made me feel like I am broke for wanting to get my money back for item that does not work. Right? He tried to shame me. So that tells me that plenty of us are buying items that does not work, that cannot function. And when they get home, because they want to feel they're rich, they're keeping the defective items because they're watching it like I go look broke if I carry it back. Well, I want to tell you all something. I don't care how broke I look. I am carrying it back. Because think about if 100 people, and I said that in my voice note, if 100 people buy an item at $50 and the items didn't work, but they never carry it back, that is $5,000 richer that you just made these Chinese, right? And if that is happening every month, well, those Chinese could live on us for items that we cannot even use. Right? So people need to get familiar with the laws as it relates to the rights of a consumer in Trinidad and Tobago. You have the right to return an item, a defective item. You have the right to return it, and you have the right to a full refund if that item didn't never worked. If it's defective in any way, that is your right under the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not feelings I'm talking here. That is your right. You have the right to make protest if a situation like that arises. And you have the right to go to the Consumer Affairs Division. Well, now they're asking you to send an email, right? Email them the facts, and you have to state your name, where you're from, your age. Apparently there's a database that they have to take some information about. I find it interesting they won't even know your age, but anyway, that's one of the things that they're asking you for when you're giving your report. The name of the store that you made the purchase at, the date in which you would have made the purchase, and stating when you return the item and what transpired. You need to also take a picture of your receipt and attach it to that email so that they can corroborate your what you're saying in terms of when you made the purchase and so on. You have to have proof of the company information, because all of that would be on the receipt, how much you paid for the item, and so on and so forth. All right. And then you can also take a picture of the item, and you keep the item in its packaging for when they call you in for whatever investigation or whatever. And as I said, one of the police, well, they called police for me.
Mm-hmm.
At first, they were telling me to call the police, the same fool that they called to use against me. He telling me I will have to call the police. I said, no, you all will have to call the police for me. You all will have to call the police for me. Which in fact happened, because when they recognize that I'm disrupting the business in terms of people being able to cash as usual, and I'm telling people don't come in the store and so on, they decide to call the police. The police came, as I said in the voice note. One was trying to more tell me, don't make a scene, let's go consumer affairs. Don't tell people. I find we have what you call cognitive dissonance in this culture, where people always trying to tell you how to express yourself and if you should even express yourself. Right? When you are in a situation now, if these same individuals reach in that same position as you, they're probably going to be even more pissed than you. But anyway, as I said, for the most part, the police were very cordial. One of the officers took the old headset, tried it on my device, tried it on other devices, recognized that it was giving the same problem with all the devices that he tried it on. He tried my one-sided headset, the one that I had from before, that worked fine. And the female officer who came tried to ask the lady, why you not, why you choosing to operate like this at the same time. Yes, we know this is a civil type matter, but you're seeing that the item really not working, and it's only yesterday the person purchased the item and so on. That's when the Chinese woman decided to claim that she's an employee. All right. That's to try to give the police the impression that she does not have the authority to deal with the matter. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I know is a
Mm-hmm.
lie. So this I am put here to tell Trinidad and Tobago, stop encouraging foolishness. And then when things get out of hand, we're ready to hold our head and ball. We're ready to blame the government for everything. Now, I'm not saying, if you know me, Renaissance, I am one who have no qualms about chastising or challenging the status quo as it relates to the politicians and the responsibilities they have to the people. At the same time, I am one of the people who totally subscribe to accountability as a citizen. And we have to hold ourselves and each other accountable in our society. Many of us see things happening and act like we ain't see. And then when it reach home by us, we want everybody to show support.
Mm-hmm.
When it was happening to your neighbor, you didn't care, you didn't see, right? There's a young lady, I spoke about it too. Her name is Shannon Banfield. I want to call her name because what happened to her was atrocious. Shannon Banfield was murdered in IAM, a
Wow.
store in Port of Spain. Her body was found decomposed in their compound.
I remember that.
And days before that, they claimed to not know anything about her. Nothing. Right? They did not want us give the police the video footage, if you all remember well. Right? And that happened, I'm sure at least 10 years past already because time flying so fast. But guess what? I will never buy from IAM again. Ever. I passed the other day and I was surprised that they even still in business under especially the same business name. But guess what? Our people are keeping people like that in business because once a person pass and see a plate they like in the store, the memory of what took place with Shannon Banfield gone through the window. I like this plate. The plate means more than the principle. The plate or whatever item they see in the store that they like it means more to them than the principle. But if it was their child that happened to, they would have expected other people to stand in solidarity with them. They would have expected that. Right? We have to do better as a society. We have to do better. When we talk about the politician, you made a statement a while ago when you mentioned Rowley. The politicians are coming right out of our communities and our society. So I'm not sure what people expect when they reach there in those offices. If we encouraging certain behaviors on a regular day within our society. These people are coming right out of our communities and our society. That's where they're coming from. So apparently people expecting that some magic wand going to wave over them when they reach in these offices. No, these are people that, so if we don't hold each other to a higher standard, we cannot expect better politicians. Realistically. Realistically. Right now I'm hearing people talking and oftentimes they say, "Look, Rowley, no, Rowley have a responsibility as the prime minister. He has a major administrative function, being the prime minister. He has to delegate responsibility, right? He
Mm-hmm.
has to choose teams and he has to delegate responsibility and he has to delegate leaders who are able to also delegate responsibility. So I'm not saying that he doesn't have a role to play, but sometimes the way people sound to me it's like they expect Rowley to be behind everybody back door, waiting for a crime to happen. That's how some people actually sound. If you in a relationship as a woman with a man, and that man is an abuser, Rowley is not in your bedroom with you and that man. Let me be real. Kamala not there either. Nobody is there with you. You have to make sure and be conscious as again, we have to be accountable. We
So
have to be conscious
so we're
of
saying
who we
we're saying Kerry, seeing that I mean in a day in we bedroom or Kamala na day, who responsibility it is then? I mean if it
it is a
fall.
collective, we have a collective responsibility. We
Mm-hmm.
have the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security having a major role in, as I say, setting up systems
Mm-hmm.
and administrative functions within their offices. But then we as citizens have our responsibility as well. So, one, as a woman, I have a responsibility to vet men who trying to talk to me. One,
Ah.
I have a responsibility to myself for my own safety to be conscious about the type of men I entertain. One. Two, now some people come acting a role. We know that they will come acting like a knight and shining armor for a couple days, which is why we don't rush into things. Sometimes we do,
So
and it's
so
not
we
a good idea.
so we're saying then we not really vetting the people that we put into these office then as a citizen.
We're not vetting anybody. We're not vetting our friends. We're not vetting our politicians. No, we're not. We're not vetting them. As a matter of fact, I hearing people saying they're voting for people. I just like he. I just like she. She looking good. She looking like she. No. What they bringing to the table,
Ah,
right? What is their track record?
ah.
What is their track record on the ground? Let us look at the issues and let us look at what could take the nation forward. That's what we need to be looking at. You don't tell me you're just looking at an individual. I feel like you voting on your feelings. Many people can't even trust their female to choose their feelings to choose the right mate. They trust in their feelings to choose somebody who going to determine how
The the
taxes
the
how taxes
future
are spent,
the future Trinidad and
the
Tobago.
future of our nation, the future, the children, the education system, the finances, everything.
Mm-hmm.
We doing that on feelings. No, no, it can't be that. It
Yeah, but
can't be that. It has to be based on facts.
yeah,
What has these people done? Look at the track record. Look at you have to look at the statesmanship or the woman, whoever it is. I'm saying statesmanship, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
Whether it's
yeah,
a
but
male or female.
carry on. What we facing now here in Trinidad, I mean, yeah, well, I as a person very passionate about this whole politics thing. What we facing now but I never see a government behave like this yet. Never, 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 never. You was there, we was there in town. We was there in town when they threw tear gas on us. You was there. I would have explicit. I would have saw you in the protest. And whereas is where the first wave movement would have birthed from, where there was taken away the rights some people underneath this stringent mass mandate that it was having, and stopping people from a whole sort of thing. And
Right. And this was a global phenomena.
mhm,
Our government was part and parcel as well as the opposition. I was interested. It was very interesting recently to hear some statements. At least the media reported that Miss Prasad Bisasa made some statements regarding the jobs. And I was in a state of shock because I remember at one point in time, she was very pro jab. As a matter of fact, before the prime minister even brought in jabs, they were lobbying with China, with India to bring the jobs. And we were saying we need to know what people would be putting in their body and the long-term effects. And people had us down as conspiracy theorists, just trying to fight down the government and all this nonsense, right? Anytime you come across as a sober, critical thinker these days, you are a conspiracy. They have all kind of labels to give you. Well, I'm wearing those labels real proudly. Yeah, I have no shame. And this is where I found it very interesting. This is the first time I saw that both the leading party and the opposition look like they totally agreed on something, right? And this was one of my red flags. Actually, what? They agree on this? No way. Out of everything, and that's it. And this is, people need to do some research further than just the our politicians. They need to look into the World Economic Forum. They have to look at those agendas of the World Economic Forum, and then they will understand why we face with some of the problems that we are faced with.
I,
If governments around the world are signed on to the agenda of the World Economic Forum, then we have to expect all manner of tyranny and trampling of rights. And if we, the people, sit and let, whether it be 22 or 41 or 50 people that is in an office, if we allow that small number to dictate a 1.4
million of us, if whatever the agenda is not beneficial to us, then we kind of the problem. Why are we allowing 40 people or 22 people who we put in positions dictate to things in that type of way? We have to stop acting like we don't have no say and we don't have no power.
And of course, this is our live broadcast. People now is 8:26. Or you could call in on the numbers on the screen 333-2176. Just or you comment on the situation now because your contribution is important just as us here. What do you think about this whole situation? I see certain people in the comment talking about hey Miss Nadira would have said in the comment when Victor Roberts had his walk against crime in Woodford Square, the officers told us that we are not allowed to go in the square. And she say, well, Darrow was there. I mean, it had all kind of thing, and really and truly, I and Victor Roberts was we went by Terrence the Alsing house with a coffin as well. So there were people there that was protesting. I mean, maybe
Oh
not the
yeah.
whole of the UNC, you understand? But there were people that was protesting against this mandatory job thing. I myself didn't
I
myself take a chuck.
I remember, I think is Kadisha. I
Yeah.
mean, she's from, yes. I remember her in particular. If I'm going to be fair, I
Mm-hmm.
remember her saying that it should not be forced on people. And
Right.
I have
Right.
to give her. I like to be fair with people and what I'm saying. I know I made mention of the leadership of the organization, the party,
Mm-hmm.
which is Miss Posad Bisesa, right? And she did, in fact, you all can quote me. Go on online on Google and Google Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa on the jabs. She actually had advised parents to give their kids the Pfizer, right? And she was very instrumental with the AstraZeneca when that and don't quote I mean quote me. I'm not saying don't quote me. Quote me. So when I heard certain statements recently, I'm like very interesting because at the time when we spoke, we were looking like crazy people. We had persons within that camp going in front of cameras demonstrating that they're taking their shot to encourage other people to do the same, right? And but I remember Miss Khadijah saying, in terms of her office, she will not be forcing persons to take anything. If they want to, that's their right. If they don't want to, that's their right as well. And I want to be fair with her on that. I also think I remembered I think one or two senators
Mm-hmm.
who also had question when they brought it up in parliament and tried to insist that parliamentarians may have to go down that road as well, right?
Yeah, because
And one or
even
two of
even
them
even
stood
the
up.
ground report program too, they was I mean they was one of the forerunners of the pushback movement, and they was advocating for pro-choice too the same way. So
Oh, but we
they as well was
collaborated with
against
the
it.
ground report. We collaborated with the ground
Right.
report. When there was the pushback events and so on, we
Mm-hmm.
had meetings with them. We had meetings with Omar.
Mm-hmm.
Um as well. Ruby Gem, who sadly passed away, she lent her voice and she was on radio. So it had persons who did. I'm not saying that it didn't have other persons who didn't support, but I'm talking about the leading persons within the political organizations, namely the PNM and UNC. For the most part, most of them sort of was, as I said, have a few within the camps who was not for it. But in terms of who was in major leadership, they will get it. And they had no problem with the safe zones. They were encourage the segregation. Even the late Basde Opande. Quote me, guys. Quote me. Who even though he wasn't as active in terms of the politics, when he had a chance to say something, he said, if they want to dice them, but don't let, if they don't want to dice them, but don't let them come around us who take it. He promoted segregation. Vonley, who is also passed away. It's interesting how a number of them actually, now that I think about it, um, Hubert Volney, who was, people call him the Section 34 man because that was where this the fiasco took place with him and so on. He also was pushing the segregation narrative, and it don't give me any pleasure at all to make this statement because actually his daughter and I are very good friends, and I have to be respectful of my friend, but she knew that me and him was always debating issues online. And I was very disappointed when he made that statement. And he even made a statement that I found was very callous, where he said, um, if he I want I'd want to I'm paraphrasing what he's saying because I can't remember what he said word for word, but he said on one of his posts on Facebook that he would be deleting persons in his friendship list
Who is that?
if they
Volley.
Von Lee, yeah. He
Right.
said that he would have been deleted persons in his Facebook list of friends, his friend list, if he recognized they're not active. He said that he will assume that they didn't take this jab and they died as a result. That's what he said. He said he's going to assume that they didn't take the jab and they died as a result, and he's going to delete them. Where if he realized they're not active on his profile. He made that statement insinuating that people who didn't take the job was going to die, which was very irresponsible for somebody who was vying for political office and was a former judge. When I sit down and think about these irresponsible statements, I'm like, what this man was doing in our judiciary, what he was doing in judiciary, right? Because as a
Uh,
judge, you
uh,
should be
Kalian, the man done gone. The man done gone in the next life already, man. Carry on, man.
It's not it, but I'm looking at the mindset. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
I Yes, he gone. But if there are others in the judiciary who thinks like him, could you imagine the disaster?
Yeah, there are a lot of
Right?
people that thinking like he in the judiciary still. Even I going
You
to, but I can talk about that
the
from here to.
Nuremberg Code. What about the law, the rule of law? What about the Nuremberg Code, the Nuremberg Code? What about the Human Rights Act? What about people rights as a judge? These matters supposed to be coming before you, and you supposed to be impartial,
You see,
right?
yeah,
Not wanting to infringe on the rights of a person.
right now I can tell you personally, we investigating a matter from some scenarios from the judiciary where it a ghost gang running. And I say that without, well, a matter of fact, let me give you an example. Let me don't put the people on that a certain kind of speculatory thing. You see, just how in the hospital it have orderlies, it have orderlies to the judges and them in the court, right? They are the ones that open the court, tell the people stand and these kind of thing. They pander to the judges, they open the door for them, they make sure everything good with the judge. Now, everybody working from home and it have no work from home policy. Now, if these are people that pandering to the judges, what are they doing? What are they doing? There is somebody that would have sent some information to me concerning this whole scheme that they are set up within the judiciary presently. And as I saying, plenty of them not impartial, and that's sad. It's real sad in Trinidad.
That is not just sad. That goes against our pillars of justice.
Yes.
That's not just an emotional thing. That diametrically opposes our pillars of justice. And there have been people, I don't know the facts about how the judiciary is running as it relates to what you just mentioned there. I don't have any facts to give any commentary on that. But what I would say is that if there are individuals within the judicial system, and especially magistrates and judges, who are operating based on their feelings on a matter as opposed to the legal principle, that diametrically opposes the pillars of justice. And then people there are people who say, why our matter still have to go to the Privy Council? This is why, because if people, if they don't have faith in the judges locally or within Caribbean, the only option to expect
Ah,
some amount of fairness is by going to the Privy Council. People need to feel secure in that the persons who are selected and as judges would be fair. They need to feel that sense of security. If they don't feel that, then we have a problem.
and right now we have an issue, especially that taking place within the court system. One of this, people right to be heard are being taken away from them. You see, from the time you regional courthouse these days, the judge, the magistrate, the marshal of the court, these are the people that are asking you have a lawyer, and plenty of times they shut you down from saying certain things. Now I know the average citizen, right, may not know anything about law outside there. But at the same time, there are people that are kura enough, they don't even want to hear them. I would have been talking about we had a matter where we get sued from our MP, a matter of fact. And we would have went to Philip Alexander and said, boy, you know, look, we get sued here, what's going on? He said, boy, get a lawyer. He said, get a lawyer. He said, look, even myself, when I stand up to talk and rebut certain argument, he said the magistrate, the judge, a matter of fact, don't himself want him to speak. So we have an issue where the rights of people, the rights to be heard is being taken away from the time you enter a courthouse.
In the I know for sure that in the whole of justice, once it's a high court matter, there's an issue definitely there. The citizen is looked at as you don't understand the jargon, you don't understand the system, and therefore they expect that an attorney is who will be presenting your matter. At the magistrate court level, you have the ability to represent yourself, although they advise you to get an attorney, because again, they know that everybody is not legally savvy and therefore would be challenged with the process, which may not give them a fair fighting chance, against the whoever they're against at that point. So I get that it is wise if you don't have that background, because there are languages that people don't understand at all. Now I do have a legal background, and I had to represent myself on a matter. And because when we do legal studies, we are we learning more or less the English legal system, which is what we are under. All right. And even though you knew the theory of the English legal system, when you get into our courts in Trinidad and Tobago, the processes that are involved in your case, you're still not 100. So I was kind of glad that I had to represent myself, because it got my feet wet in terms of the actual internal runnings. So for instance, the average citizen will not know how to request disclaimer. A simple thing like that. They don't know how to make applications. They will be at a disadvantage to some great
True.
extent. Um, if they don't have a person who understands the system. That is a fact, right? Listen to the average in all due respects, because I mean this. I want to say this in the most kind way, but a lot of trainees are not even practicing how to articulate well. When they speak on a regular day, they speak terribly. I have to tell you. We
Well,
have
well,
what we call
Kalian, well, that is the reason why, you see, that is the point exactly. Now, all of these magistrates and judges feel that is going with everybody. You understand? Look how well
well,
look how
it is
well you
erratic.
spoken. And
It's
from the
wrong to assume that. That is a wrong assumption. The next, sorry to cut you, but I want to say this. It's a wrong assumption to assume that that is everybody's case, and it is wrong to assume, period, on the whole. The next thing that is ridiculous that I saw happening is you could be in the court how early you want. You could be there before all the other persons who show up. Your name could be on a list in front of everybody. What they do, they will call everybody who has an attorney before they decide to call your name because you don't have an attorney present with
so
you.
true. True.
That is something that I find absolutely ridiculous. As a matter of fact, we complaining on the ground. We complaining on the ground. But do you know a lot of attorneys don't want to deal with some of these judges and magistrates themselves because they are very condescending in their communication oftentimes with the attorneys? Do you know that? So whilst we complaining, which we have the right to do, imagine going through the whole this and that and doing the bar exams and fully fledged attorney to go into the court only to be disrespected by the magistrate because they're sitting up there and you
Ah,
sitting down here.
you said correctly because watchmen, they are very embarrassing sometimes to some of them attorneys and them. And if you're not in a law, what others call it,
Chamber.
a chamber that have
Respect.
lawyers that went through certain things, they don't want to hear you. They're embarrassing these attorneys and them in the court so much less us. And
Yes,
you
I
see, you see what I
understand.
don't like about this carrion? There are nobody, no regulatory body over these magistrates and them. The magistrates in Trinidad and Tobago are law unto them own self. I could go into a whole case where I had was to reach a point that I had was to go into to practically sue a magistrate for getting on ultra vires. You understand? For overstepping her bounds. And the thing about it is this: the amount of lawyers I had was to go and pay. I maybe spend about $30,000. And here what going on, eh? These lawyers and them, you know, sting the operating. They know doing what the case in. They come, the charger wants the money.
They want that retainer fee.
Oh
That's what's going
God,
on.
oh God, I would have won.
This
And
is
watch
the
me.
next thing, right?
Close,
And
close to the
you
matter,
know,
the saying, I can't do that matter again, That he can have stink man play the operating, Them do me
listen
that.
to me.
Watch me, them do me that
You
for about
just
6 months,
make it up. You just raise a antness. I don't even know if I should be smiling right now because this is something that makes my blood boil. But if I don't smile now, I might do something else. Right? We have a problem. We talk about the magistrates, we talk about judges and some of the behavioral patterns. This is not all, thank God, but some of them, right? And we have an issue with attorneys as well. First of all, many of the persons who practicing as attorneys, that is not a calling. Let me start right there. That's not your calling. And people might find, how could she say that? Yes, I said it. And this is not specific to attorneys. This is for anybody who is in a profession that you know very well you're not passionate about and you don't plan to give your all, but yet you're just there or you're just there for the money or you're just there for the prestige that goes with it and all of that. The doctors, the everybody who is in any profession that not there for the right reasons, please just do us all a favor. Get out. If your passion is painting, please, darling, go and paint. Do a painting course and do what you love because you are ruining lives by blocking being a square peg in a wrong hole, right? We have a lot of persons who are going to law school because they like the prestige of being called an attorney. But these people have no passion for justice, or at least a passion against injustice. I can tell you, I went to school with some of them. When we having conversations now, we're expecting them because, all right, I didn't go do the bar exams. You do the bar exams, you already there, right? When I'm expecting this critical thinker, because when you're doing legal exams, anybody who did it and on the platform will tell you one of the things that they always ask you is to critically assess something. Critically assess, critically assess. But you finish the exam and you come out here and you don't want to critically assess anything. You just want to go with the status quo and just make a little money. That is what it is for you. So you can know that a man is being in a very unjust situation, and you are in a position to do something about it, but you feel he don't have enough money or enough status or whatever it is, and as a result you leave that man in that situation. Shame on you. You seeing, even if it's the politicians doing things that are going against the universal, generally the universal law, the legislation, international conventions, international regulations, international laws, and you just staying quiet because you studying how you could get a contract to represent the same dirty politician, and you don't want a bad blood, so you watching that injustice happen. Shame on you. Look at the difference with the doctors in Trinidad. I was talking about that just a week ago. Look at the difference with the doctors in Trinidad and other doctors in other territories. Do you know that nearly 100 and something doctors came together and signed a document against what was taking place during the pandemic, not caring whether they choose to suspend them, whether they choose to take the license. They saw themselves as having a responsibility to humanity, so they did it anyway, right? Whilst our doctors staying quiet to eat our food here in Trinidad. Right? I only know of one doctor. I mean, I'm talking about not the naturopaths here. I'm talking about medical doctors, right? General practitioners and so on. Who one who was willing to put his face with the
Rajesh,
movement to say we don't like this.
Rajiv, what is it?
I'm not going to call his name on the
No,
platform,
well,
but
he was outside there. Carry on. I see. I mean, he was there
yes,
in the
yes,
protest with
but
me, all kind of thing.
yes, man, it's true. But I'm just saying, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because sometimes you raise an antness and people start focusing on people to study how to victimize them after the
All
fact.
right, all right. I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean.
Unfortunately, and this is one of the things that makes a lot of the professionals timid as well, because they have to worry now, if I stand up, what will happen to me after, how my family go eat and so on. So unless you are like me and other counterparts who join forces to stand for the right, even if the heavens fall, right? Unless you're willing to die the martyr's death, you will really not want to stand up against the status quo, because victimization is a real thing. But I don't care. And what I always say is, if all of us stand up, they can't victimize all of us.
Mm-hmm.
How much of us they can victimize if all of us stand up? You see, we allowing them to victimize 2 and 3, because many of us are too coward to stand up and depending on just 2 and 3 people to stand up on our behalf. But if all of us come out, how they can victimize all of us? They can't victimize everybody. If everybody stand up, they can't victimize everybody. If they decide to come to put us in jail, they don't have room for all of us in there. Don't beat up. The front line might end up locked up, but they can't lock up everybody. And
No,
then when we reach the court, we will put up a good fight, and some of those matters have to be thrown out and dismissed. I was arrested during COVID. I had a matter before the court, right? I had a matter before the court. There is no way they will tell me what to put in my body that man cannot figure out. They can make any how much robot they feel like. They cannot make a real human being. They don't have the power to do that. And therefore, they don't have the right to tell me to put what to put in this body here. I will make that decision. Look at how much of our friends end up with heart attacks, end up with stroke, end up paralyzed, died, right? When you make a permanent decision, when you make a permanent medical decision to put something in your system, you cannot just take it out. Which is why you should not allow your employer or any government or anybody to tell you what to put in your system. You know, people who I know went and took jobs because the boss tell them to, and now they ain't working. The same boss send them home after, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet some of them suffering side effects and they home. No medical insurance, no nothing. And they had to be back and forth by cardiologists and this. And when you go to these people, you know it's money, right? Where your boss now? Where is the bosses now? Who was forcing you in 2020, 2021? Where are they? All is sudden deaths all of a sudden. We're not hearing anything about them. We're not hearing no compensation from the Ministry of Health for people. Go up online and hear what I say. Quote me and quote everything I say. Go up online and research, and you all would see that in the UK they have actually allocated a fund. They've allocated a fund. They have allocated funds towards people with job injuries. Whilst here in Trinidad, persons in authority still trying to deny that people suffered side effects. And
Now,
because we as a people willing to just go with any nonsense they say, we just sit down taking it.
now, Kalian, as I see that we cannot deviate a little bit now. The director telling me about this research that we would have done here with in regards to the stuff that he was talking about with the return policy. You have now sent
Right.
it for me
Yes.
again. He say in Trinidad and Tobago, consumers' rights regarding return are governed by the Adverse Trade Practices Order of 2000, the APO. The legislation prohibits business from implementing blanket policies like no refund or no exchange, which are
That's right.
considered illegal. And the saying here, these are the key points. Key points of non-returning item. Yeah, it talk about the legal framework. The ATPO mandates that customers must be allowed to return items under certain conditions, ensuring that the business cannot over, override, deny the refund, or exchange for all sales. And the part of this thing here where I wanted to highlight the most is this: their refunds condition. And here what it's saying about the businessmen if they're trying to be smart. While business can set specific return policy, example time limits, they cannot enforce policies that denied all refunds or exchange. Refund requests typically required a valid receipt. So they could ask for a receipt. That one, they could ask for a receipt and they could set a time. And I believe the timing, I mean, it can't be nothing less than, well, I say, because the least amount I would have seen in certain thing in 7 days. So if the thing damage up, yes, I mean, I will accord in. But if it have a manufacturer defect, I mean, yeah, all right, and it really illegal. And not only it had the Consumers Affairs Division, and it had the law that adverse trade practices underneath 2000, under 2000. Well, that the act now, and are not so legally enshrined as yourself, Kerry and John.
I'm glad that you quoted straight out of the legislation, because I started off saying that this is not based on feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people feel they can come and try to debate with me in the store and talk a sort of stupidness about who broke and this. It have nothing to do with that. Whether you broke, and let me tell you all something. You see, some of
But,
the
but tell me you have
practices.
a video with the guy. I would like to get my hand on that video. You know.
I'm going to send you. I'll send you the video. I'll send you the video. You'll get to see the Chinese woman. Yes, some of the employees started to hide when I started to shake the place. So, and I not vexed with some of them, because again, some of them they're working for minimum wage. And again,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they might even have illegal immigrants because a lot of Venice in there. So people hiding,
So
right?
what is the
But
name of that place again, Carrie? What is the name of that place?
Lian Feng is, I think it's Liangfeng is how it's spelled. I'll send you the thing. I
Mm-hmm.
should have sent it to you before so you could actually post up the faces of the individual. I have no problem showing the faces who talk this stupidness.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I will say I can send you that because I did take a video. I tried to go live, but I believe that they have something in the store where they were able to kill the internet. um for some reason the internet just went dead whilst I was doing the live, so I decided to do a regular recording on my phone because I know that don't require internet. And that's what I have, so I can send that, right? So I'm saying, on the contrary to what this house negro was saying to me, it is the most broke people who do not return defective items. I can tell you all that for a fact. The same Chinese who don't want to refund me and he is trying to make me feel I'm broke with. If you go to their store and you have $1 short, they will not give you the item. Does that mean the Chinese broke?
No.
Why they making such a big deal off of $1 or for 50 cents? Right? You know why? They count every cent, unlike some of us.
And
And that's why they are rich and some of us are not.
and Carrie and that is what they be saying. Look, I travel in a taxi the other day. Yeah, we telling me now. Why don't let it change the $3? I say why didn't give me a free drop? You see, is how you look at it, and it's how these people just present argument. You broken because you don't. So if you go it a cent short by the Chinese, you're not getting the item. So we're trying to say then. We're trying to say why don't give me it, and that is what has take place. Just because you think no, you're supposed to get value for your money. You're supposed to get
If you
value
look
for your money.
If you look sharp, some of these workers, they're not even paying NIS. Some of them have no insurance, no kind of protection, nothing. Which is why watching this fella kind of funny, Because if he is working some type of security, Renison, I have been one of the voices fighting for the rights of the securities in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, within recent times, I've been very disappointed with some of these people who doing security work, right? It's as if they're training them to be kind of tyrants or something, behaving silly.
And
As a matter of fact, I've had an issue at the Massey in Starlight Plaza in Dego Martin, where as I walk in the grocery, some of the securities will be outside looking like they're linemen talking to people. And as soon as I pass in, they would start following me around as if they profile me and like they marking me
yeah, they just follow you around.
until I had to report. I did One of them didn't recognize, but I was recording her. And every aisle I was in, she happened to be in it. And what I did whilst I recording the aisle number and I recording her. And I sent it to the head office of Massey. I said, what is the coincidence that I happen to be in the same aisle as this security officer in every different aisle that I was in? What is the coincidence? I say, I'm not sure how they're training these staff, but I am certain that Massey has cameras, and I am sure that there is a more comfortable way for them to do their job without making the customer feel so uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the officers there that I had an issue with, right? It happened at least 3 occasions. I had to go and talk to one of the supervisors in the store about this issue, right? So that's that. But this guy here who is working at that Chinese place, I had to tell him because remember, I know the facts. I have been working along with persons who have been trying to fight for the rights of the security officers, right? And within the, who do not have recognition via the estate police,
And there's a lot of them,
regulations
because
and so on.
we too was fighting for them too at the same time.
Right. And I know for a fact that many of them, when there, if anything do happen to them on the job, oftentimes they don't even have insurance to cover the liability. Their families end up in a state because they had, if they do get die on the job, the family had to bury them and they have nothing to leave behind. Right? This is not every case, but we have a number of cases like that. Right? Why you putting yourself up in this type of way in a matter like this? Because I'm saying you don't know who I am. In some cases, you behave like that. There are criminal elements who will come back looking for you. And when anything happens to you, them Chinese, I'm 100% is not burying you. Right? So people should be conscious of their life, if nothing else, when they want to behave ridiculous and when they want to have ridiculous things to say to people, because everybody will not go to the law. That is not, it may not be right, but it's the reality. Everybody, you calling me broke, you disrespecting me, this, everybody wouldn't take that the same way. And I hear trying to fight for my rights. I know I'm entitled to a certain type of treatment, and you come here behaving and making certain statements at me and mocking me and all this kind of thing happening. I ask him, I say, you have a lot of feminine traits. I say, I realize you're standing up 10 toes, toe on toe, trying to be in a back and forth with me. Why
So
are you
wait,
doing that, Cousin
so
Mary?
wait, jump up and tell him, man, he has some feminine trait for it. Has some
Yeah,
people which traitors to their own race and
it's
carry
true,
on.
but at the same time, even though some people are traitors, they still don't go to the extent that he went at. He
Nah,
was kind of,
it
he,
ain't nothing.
he was
It
over the
ain't nothing
top.
worse than Rowley. It ain't nothing worse than Rowley. Rowley throw tear
Nah,
gas on little children. What you telling me about? That nothing worse than that.
nah, this
That
fellow
man throw
here,
tear gas on little
nah.
children.
Well, I know Rowley, the police threw their the tear. Well, he called the shot or whoever, Fitzgerald or one of them. But I'm saying, I have never seen Rowley stand up no way in no long back and forth argument with a woman, no way, over certain issues. Yes, he has been on platforms making statements that were not very stately at some point in time. But if you see what I talking about that took place here, you wouldn't even compare he with Rowley. It will. Oh my God! If you didn't think it was that, listen, it was something else.
So
This man,
it was than Rowley. I don't think so either. I don't think so at
this
all.
man stand up trying to go so and so. I start making my little protest saying, I want my money. I
Mhm,
want
mhm.
my, the man starts protesting with me. Like he is mocking me, right? So I hush. I say, keep on doing it for man, help me save my voice.
That man said so.
I'm telling you I'm telling you how far this guy went to try to prove to the Chinese that he working. Tell her to say, boy, you do your real working for your colonizer. Because you real going at this extra mile. You know what I mean? The only time this man went a bit silent is when the police came. Because at that point, he recognized he might be start feeling inferior to them or something.
All right.
Right? So he went quiet at that point in time. When he and also they recognize that the police also did not come to operate on no just some impulsive emotion. The police came ask, to see what was going on, what was the facts about what was going on. And when they recognized what was going on, they recognized that I had the right to having this, getting my refund or returning this item. And so they realized, he realized that They were not in their corner in that type of way, you
So
know.
so
I think
from a law perspective, I mean, what advice you can give citizens concerning this? Because I want it to not just be, inventing an issue, but there is
no,
going to be people
and
going
that's
through
why
this.
yes, that's why I started off saying we need to educate ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. You see, if we don't educate ourselves, anything can happen, and we will think that the people have the right to do what they're doing. The next thing that will happen, like I talk about the young lady who I spoke to just this evening at the Digicel booth, who
Mm-hmm.
was telling me with a very straight face, and you could tell that she takes her job seriously. So whatever they told her, that is what she's regurgitating, and she doesn't know the law, so she's just telling me what her employers told her to say, right? Or what I believe her employers told her to say. And I had to tell a young lady, don't let people, because they're giving you a little salary, have you telling the public stuff that is not legal. Verify some of that information that they're telling you before you just start telling customers that. Because when the customer come back, they're going to say, you say, right? So educate yourself. If you're not sure about something, ask questions. We have all kind of WhatsApp groups and all kind of communities now where people don't even have to leave where they are to talk to somebody. Throw out the question in a group and ask them, is this how this supposed to work? What is the information behind this? Use Google, use the GPTs, and see what they say. Look at the information. Let us educate ourselves, because at the end of the day, for you to be able to identify what is a counterfeit, you have to know the original. You have to know the original, right? Educate yourself, ask questions. Stop just taking anything and saying, well, what I go do about that? What we go do? That's a thing we just do. We need to stop doing that. Right? And the information was given here tonight. We have legislation that tells you you're right under the law. And once someone is telling you something that sounds different to that, then you know something is wrong. Right? You have the right to return items that has a manufacturer defect. If you leave the store and you drop the headset and it break, you broke the headset. That's not the same as if the item itself has a particular problem that is no fault of your own. Make sure and get your receipts. I see a lot of Trinidadians purchasing items and just leaving the receipts on the counter, or the cashier not giving them at all. As a matter of fact, do you know a lot of times when I go to purchase items, I have to ask them for my receipt, which I find is weird. You're supposed to give me my receipt. Even when you go to purchase gas at a gas station, because Trinis get so accustomed to they in business about that. Then the cashiers at the gas stations not giving you your receipt. I have to ask for my receipt, right? What if I drive off on the pump and I realize my needle never go up and the problem is not the gauge? What argument I have to go back there if I don't have a receipt to say, see, I come and buy? Sorry, I think I tapped something. What evidence you have if you don't have a receipt? What
Mm-hmm.
evidence you have that you purchased the item if you don't have a receipt? You think those people willing to play back their cameras just to prove you was in the store just so that they could give you a refund of something? No. So your responsibility is your receipt. I was fortunate to grow up with a mother who then used to play with her receipt. You buy a pack of cricks, you have to bring a receipt. And I grow with that and I maintain that way of life, and I like redress. So I always keep my receipts.
You
Keep
see,
your
at that time I asked a woman, I sent a woman to buy something for me. And when I say, girl, where my receipt? You know what she turned around and tell me? She said, boy, is that cheap man or what? And you see, them kind of social kind of shaming Them kind of social shaming that's tend to condition people.
Well, I broke off a whole relationship because somebody did that to me one time.
Hmm.
I not even playing a joke with that. Right? If you is one thing, okay, you did not get the receipt, and maybe you into have that bad habit of not getting your receipts. But when
Hmm.
I bring it to your attention, and I am sure sharing with you why it is important, and you decide to trivialize such a major issue and make it seem as though I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Now you're venturing down the road of gaslighting me and disrespecting me. And I don't tolerate that at all. In that is not beneficial to a partnership. So
Hmm.
I broke off a whole relationship for that already. Right? I recognize we were not compatible right there and then. And I decided that it is better for the individual to go on to find who suit them, let them live their happy life, not getting receipts, and
No,
let
well,
me live my happy life
carry
with
on.
people who want to give me receipts.
Carry
Get
on.
me?
Carry on. Let me real. Let me real. Let me real. No, hey, he's a big man. He's a big man. Come on now, man. You got to leave a man for that. For trivializing. You see, don't do more that now, man.
Absolutely,
Don't do more
yes,
that now, man.
absolutely. I am an entrepreneur.
Well,
I am
I
an
understand that.
entrepreneur.
I understand that. I know he's a girl does do your thing, you know. Regardless the way it does do, you know, still have your animals, your chickens, and
I
you
am
sell
a
it.
registered. Hello, no, no, no. I am a registered farmer in Trinidad and Tobago. I
Okay,
rear
okay, okay.
livestock. I do long-term crops. I do plant propagation. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I am into air laying and stuff like that. This is not a joke. If I was out Syrian sitting down telling you this right now, I'm sure it would be taken differently. I am not entertaining individuals that are not on my page and not willing to learn, especially you may not be there, but if you're not willing to learn, that's where the bigger problem is. Everybody
So,
will be in the same place, but you
so
must
he
be
did.
willing to learn.
So if he make a mistake one time, if he say, "Boy, you know, this time I did
No,
trivialize it," I mean,
you have to
you ain't
show
give the man a
remorse.
second chance, self.
No, we have a problem with that.
Wow.
And ladies on the platform and even the gentlemen, let me tell you all something. You see, when we play on things like this, it leads to bigger forms of disrespect. Trust what I'm telling you all. Trust what I'm telling you all. Don't tolerate it. If you tell the person the issue, if you explain it to them and they are respectful, they are apologetic, they're willing to change the bad tendency, fine, you can work with that. But if the person tries to gaslight you, make you feel that you're making a big deal out of nothing, and they venture down that path, if you decide to go on from there with that, that's on you. But you have to expect all manners of disrespect after that. I have to tell you that. I am very married. And I have to tell you, my husband was also not hot on receipts when we just met. And when I told him about it, he recognized, yes, this makes a lot of sense. And from there on, he don't play about his receipts. As a matter of fact, he returns things, I think, more regularly than me. Because if I buy a pack of plantain chips and it's cold, I might say, you know what? No big deal. But guess what? He is packing it in his bag, and the next day he's carrying
Carry
back
on,
that
carry
plantain
on,
chip.
carry on. I believe you train that man, in it. You train him, you make him, you mold him into something that you want. And I believe that that taking
No,
away from
well,
his
a man
identity as a
cannot,
man.
hold on, a man cannot learn unless he's open to learning. I've
Right.
heard many women say they try to tell men stuff and they were not willing to open to it. So a man who is willing to learn will learn, right? And he saw it is beneficial to him because when he's in a situation where he needs to return an item, he can do so because he has a receipt. When you don't have a receipt, you have to try to go and argue with the person and try to convince them that you was there day before because you don't have no document.
Uh,
No. So he recognized that this is actually a positive development and he acted on it, and we had no problem going forward from there. So I'm showing you the two different type of people it have in the world. It have those who will try to play down important stuff,
Mm-hmm.
who should
Mm-hmm.
not be entertained at all,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And it have those who are willing to, you could work with
But
people who willing to learn. I
were
myself
you
am always
were you
learning.
saying they carry on? I actually agree with you, you know. But people that say I too hard, and you know one thing I hate. I mean, people, the people watching and viewing us now on the platform, on the various platform, the reason why I carrying on this discussion with Carrie Ann is a seasoned person. She has her own platform too, you know, so she accustomed carrying on this kind of topic. She know a wide range of topic. It was in yearlies we would have do an interview with her long time ago. But Carrie Ann accustomed to these kind of thing. I actually used to listen to plenty in Kerry and she and brother Omar, you understand, in the savannah, in the hollows here. And I used to watch the whole
Yeah. So I
thing.
mean,
But,
anybody who is living a successful life
uh-huh,
has rules that they live by, that they implement for themselves so that they can maintain a standard.
uh-huh.
The people who don't have a standard tend to be the people on the lower echelons, whether people like it or not.
Who do
If
have a
you go,
standard? Who do have a standard on the lower end of the echelons?
yes,
And that bad, eh?
yes,
That
it's bad.
and it
Go up
frustrated with
online
somebody who has
and just,
standard. You see how you have standard and somebody do have a standard, it actually is frustrating. And now if they have a little bit of intelligence, carry on. Here what does take place? They does use this kind of passive aggressive method. They're mad at you, you know, but they're playing it off like it's cool and they're doing certain things to annoy you. Say for instance, say for instance, you ask them to do something they just ain't do it. Or they do it in a kind of way that it's so sloppy. You ask them to attend an event with you. They come late. You have to call them and ask them, you come yet? And
and
this
that's
is
what
it.
happens when you try to prove that you are being patient with someone who you're not compatible with. You're
Mm-hmm,
doing
mm-hmm.
too much. And I can't blame the person alone. I am blaming you as well. Because if you recognize that the person is that unwilling to work
Yeah,
along with
yeah.
you, and you insist on trying to force them within your sphere, you have to take accountability for that too. Now, you might find I rough to get rid of the person who wasn't lining up with me. But I
Yeah.
don't have to deal with those problems you're talking about there, because I recognize we just were not compatible and let them go. So they could find their happiness elsewhere, and I can do the same. I find there's a higher degree of love than trying to hold on to somebody and you all now develop a certain level of hatred towards each other because
Yeah, yeah.
you're just not compatible but trying to make something work that cannot work,
Like
right?
it,
And
like it.
then you have the energy that's supposed to be spent now on other developments. You trying to spend that energy fighting with them to fall in your line or something like that, which doesn't make any sense to me, right?
You see,
And
we're talking about it, right? I mean, you see how the kind of conversation that you're having. Now, I does have this conversation with certain people, and some of the times it'll be very frustrated. Carry on. You see, there are certain conversation in which you could have with people. For you to be at a particular level, you have to not be able to have certain conversations with them. Take for example, just in its most simplistic form. If we're talking about coconut, you have to know what is a coconut. If I had to explain to you what is a coconut and then have a conversation about a coconut, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. It bothers me. So when you're searching out people to have conversation with, you understand, and you want to be at a particular level, or you want it not to be down in the gutter, that have a certain understanding. It's frustrating. So it's important to be compatible with certain people in truth. It's very
compatibility is a big deal.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the next thing, as an intelligent person, what you have to be able to do too is assess people where they are, right? And I want to explain what I mean.
Yeah.
If you take a fish and put it on the land, it would not survive. Um, because it's not in its habitat, it's not in its natural habitat. So if you recognize that a person is not able to talk about coconuts, why are you trying to talk about coconuts with them? I mean, people might say, Carrie, oh God, you're rough, eh? Um, but it's true. Why am I trying to speak about coconuts with someone who don't know nothing about coconuts? Unless that person express an interest in coconut, why am I taking my time to try to talk about coconuts with them? That don't make no sense. For me, it don't make no sense. It's like trying to make the fish swim on the land, as far as I'm concerned. And this is why, as I said, compatibility is a big thing for certain types of relationships. Other than that, you have to know to compartmentalize the relationships you have. So it have people that I would work with, and they're strong in this particular area, and when I'm working with them, we only dealing with that area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I not venturing down the road of no politics with them because that's not the area. And I would find myself fighting a non-dying war, trying to sell for them to see
just
what I'm trying to
just
say.
just like to how we know that Rowley is the worst thing in Trinidad, and you may have other views. I gonna leave you. That the worst thing in Trinidad and Tobago right about now. You understand? Just how I find that is the case.
Well, there are a lot of different opinions on Rowley and all the politicians. One of the things that I have an issue with, and I am a person, and when you look at me on the platforms, you'd recognize I am always this individual. I am right here in the middle, if that makes sense. I like balance. So, whilst I may talk about Rowley and the things that I dislike about Rowley, if I find myself only talking about Rowley and not the whole entire political arena, then
Mm-hmm.
I personally will feel a bit off balance. Me. Because I tell people all the time, the only way that a leading party could get away with certain atrocities is if they don't have strong opposition. They don't have
Uh,
a strong enough
let,
opposition.
let, let me show you some. I beg to differ to a certain degree, and let me tell you why. There are people outside here, right? I'm making this generalized statement first. I wanted to say this as a matter of fact. There are people that has collapsed things into single causes when we really supposed to look at it from a broad perspective. Now, yes, yes, that could be one of the reasons why the Rowley getting away from doing things. But what if he institutionalized certain parts of the system? He confuses, he operate in a kind of confusing way. He don't go at something a straight line from how I would have um 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 analyzed the person. The man go in a kind of zigzag strategy. It confused the population, it
Well,
confused the
I
media
want
and
to
all.
justify. I want to justify the statement that I am making. I want to justify
All
the
right, go ahead, go
statement that
ahead, go
I.
ahead, carry on. I know you want to think. Go ahead, carry on.
Why am I going to justify what I'm saying? Is because here what I'm saying. I've been involved in politics in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Although I've taken a back seat to some extent. I
No,
have been in politics. I've been involved in the political arena, and I like to be sober with how I am my approach to the whole with politics. Sober because I believe that with as I say without that balance, what will happen is that sometimes it come across as you're justifying one whilst criticizing the other when there are issues among all involved. And if we don't look at it from that place, we have a problem. And I want to make this thing. I had a situation in my life, and I'm using my life experience to share exactly what I don't want to happen because I've learned. I remember some years ago I dated a guy, and he was very strict about certain things. Now, I like strictness to some degree, but I also believe that we have to live. People have to live, and therefore it should have some flexibility with certain things.
I thought you
And
was never so in a
no, no, no.
right,
I
right.
am a person with a, as I say, I am a person with a standard. When I say having enjoying life, I don't mean getting unruly and being ridiculous, but enjoying life within You know what I mean? Within a clean way, right? So this guy, when I say strict here, what I mean in the to the extent that I mean, if 25 cents falls on the floor, he will not pick it up. And all right, you wouldn't pick it up, but he don't want the person with him to pick it up either. It looks bad to him to pick up 25 cents. And I, on the other hand, know how hard I work for 20, my money. That 25 cents is I'm picking it up, right? So that's what I mean when I say to the extreme. General rules and standards, timekeeping, getting up when you have to get up to do what you have to do in life, making wise investments, knowing how to communicate things that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some real petty thing. I want to walk the road and eat something. Oh my God, you walk in the road and eating that. That doesn't look ladylike. No, listen. So those are what I'm talking about. Extreme situations. So when that was, I was like, you know what, this car work. And we were just getting to know and so on at the time. Guess what? I started hanging out with someone who now was really, really loose. So I recognized immediately that I had moved from this extreme to another. And that is not what I want to do. I want to be able to be sober and make decisions on that from that sober thinking. So I'm not going to be telling Trinidad and Tobago to don't like this one and like that one, or highlight only the issues here and not I highlight the issues there. And one of the things I recognize, because we have so many people either for PNM or for UNC, that is what tends to happen. When you talk about UNC and some of the things that UNC has done that is not ideal, people label you a PNM. And when you talk about the things that the PNM has done that is not ideal, they label you UNC. Because let's be real, we have some new parties in the mix, but we have been for the most part a two-party system here in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Outside of A&R Robinson, who had kind of commanded the people at Tobago, and we see the PDP come and kind of pull it now. And well, PDP had some internal issues, and Farley start a whole new party, and all of that happened. But I'm saying for the most part, it has been a two-party system. In our parliament, and as people could identify, when we go to vote for election, for general election, there are 41 seats that are contested. 41. The leading party gets the most seats, and then the opposition gets the second most seats, so to speak. Because if there's a third or fourth party, then they would have been those other parties, right? So they would have be like a runner-up to the leading party. The parliamentarians on the opposition is also being paid to do a job. When they do not win the election, but they are still opposition, they are still being paid a salary every month for the role that they are playing in those offices, just as the people who are in the leading party, right? I am a policy person. What is your policy? What is your plan for Trinidad and Tobago? All right? And one of the things that I've noticed is as it relates to the World Economic Forum positions and policies, they have been toe and toe with each other when it comes to that. As a matter of fact, quote me, and go back and look at what Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa said that she would have implemented if she had won the election in 2020. She actually mentioned the digital ID and a lot of the things that are being implemented currently by the PNM. So what am I saying here? I am saying we need to stop just watching party politics and start watching issues. Right? I supported the People's Partnership in 2010. I would have campaigned with Errol McLeod in the Pointe-a-Pierre area. I would have been on certain round tables with the MS Movement for Social Justice. I was very active with the Oilfield Workers Trade Union. right? I was a member of the Point of Peer branch. I was on the Education and Research Committee of the OWTU. And all of this could be proven, right? When they got into office as the leading party, because it was supposed to be a coalition government, but it was usurped by the UNC. And when they got into office, there were things that happened that was ridiculous. Hence, people don't trust the organization to date. So if I saw Gary Griffith talking about partnerships must have rules, and I was like, if you're going to partner, don't have no rules now, and God help you, right? God help you, because a lot of people are of the opinion that he should be independent as opposed to joining up with the UNC. But that is a position they have to take. That's not for me and you to decide, right? But they should have rules. They should have legal, documented positions. This shouldn't just be let we go together and just to be the PNM. No. What do we stand? What do we plan to do when we finish all of this? What is your position versus what is my position? This is how you have infighting and public scandals like what took place with Duke and Farley after the THA and after such a sweeping win in Tobago. They were of different positions in key areas. And and how they would deal with issues was also different. So coming on a public platform as opposed to going to the individual and saying we need to have an internal meeting to trash this out as a simple thing to discuss as a code of ethic. Because if you all look at the PNM, people, we would chastise them for certain things, but there are some things that we could look at and see that that's what they're getting right too. You don't see Kid Rowley coming on a platform if he and Stuart Young have a fallout or he disagree with a position Stuart Young take to cuss out Stuart Young or to throw talk for Stuart Young. They might have that issue, but they will go behind the scenes, sort out their business, and then they will have a united front when they come back to the people. Something that we could say we have not seen in some other organizations. And if we don't start looking at things in this type of way, in a sober way, as opposed to just emotions, and trying to learn from the mistakes, then they're bound to repeat. And as much as these mistakes keep repeating, the same political organization that people don't claiming that they don't want in office will stay in office. It's almost as they're helping them stay there, right? Because they're not changing to accommodate, to really appease the people, right? So I'm saying that there are things that has happened in both sides that were equally as disturbing, leading all the way up to the as made mention of the pandemic, right? The pandemic. We have Anand Ram Logan, we have Ramdeen. These are men I have respect for because I talked about lawyers earlier and how some of them don't function in passion, and that's probably because law is not their calling. Clearly, law is Ram Logan's and Ramdeen's calling because they do very well at representing their clients before the courts. Hence, I was actually surprised that no kind of concerns were raised by them during the pandemic in a time when people's rights were trampled on in Trinidad and Tobago. There was a deafening silence. And these are things that I'm just being real about the concerns that I have. Right? And I felt like strategically that would have been a strong point for them to highlight, given that they have legal backgrounds and they are able to speak from a legal perspective and show where the rights of the people were being trampled on. But there was a deafening silence, and oftentimes silence represents support for what is taking place. All right. So I have my grouse with Rowley. I was in front of Imbert's office. I think maybe either just earlier this year, or just late last year, because I was actually shocked that I went to his constituency office and they were asking if persons had the job cards in order to make a appointment or to put a name on a list to meet with him. But so of course I had a whole protest there. Of course they called police for me there. Other persons, Brother Umar and others joined me there. And I have been chastising Imbut ever since. One of a particular importer who brought in a vehicle, she's a returning national. She lived abroad for a number for years. Her husband is a diabetic and he has a terrible laceration on his foot to the fact where nearly his whole heel was like eaten away, and as a result of her having to be caring and helping her husband, she had to be coming back and forth from the US. And at one point, she actually spent about 5 months in Trinidad and Tobago trying to make sure that he's okay before she leave the country. And then when she came back to Trinidad, because she said, "No, what, it don't make no sense for me to be back and forth, but I stay here and support help my husband and so on." She brought her vehicle and some of her personal effects, and her vehicle is still at the port up to this date. And it came in about 2 years ago. Why? They were not willing to give her the concession to clear her vehicle. Customs and the customs officer, collector of customs, wasn't wrong to highlight that she stayed for 5 months. Now let me explain. When you are coming back to Trinidad after living abroad and wanting to get concessions, and let me break down the word concession because there are people who may not know what that means. Concessions mean that you are entitled to a special treatment because of you being a returning national. All right. So you're coming back home after living for 5 years, and you're bringing your household items. You're bringing a vehicle. You're bringing your clothing. You're bringing tools and so on. You are entitled to getting most of those items duty free. That is what the concession is under the returning national laws. All right. However, as one, you have to qualify, and one of the qualifying factors is that where during the time that you live abroad, you cannot come to Trinidad and spend more than 3 months at a time, right? So that's a little bit of information for persons who might be abroad or have family abroad. Let them know. And also get on to Renaissance, let them give you my number, and let me see how to help you with that, right? And getting your stuff cleared and so on. But she spent 5 months at one occasion because of the situation with her husband. We were able to get letters from the medical facility where he would get treatment, the foot and ankle clinic, and to prove that he has this ongoing issue. And we have a number of pictures showing how bad his feet are. And even with all of that, the Minister of Finance was not willing, because if the custom officer may not be able to grant the concession because of the 5 months, but the Minister of Finance has the last say. He could override that and give the person the concession based on the circumstances, right? But so I actually went to his office really to deal with that, not a personal matter of my own. But I felt, oh God, look at what these people have to deal with, and it's a real situation. So I decided, being a constituent and being able to go to the office and have an audience with him, I decided to go there, only to find out that if I didn't have a job card, he was not willing to meet with me. And that's when I had a protest there, right? So up to date, this woman's vehicles are the port. So she could say she lost her vehicle because of a situation that she had no control over, a legitimate situation, right? So I am one of the people who cannot say that I am in no big support of the PNM at all, because there are certain things that I am very appalled with. At the same time, from a sober perspective, they are still an organization that have their selves together. They have a way that they present themselves to the public with a unified front. They have been an organization who have run the country for decades, and therefore, whoever is challenging them has to come good, right? They have to come good, because other than that, people will be questioning, a lot of things, because they know who they have. So you have to show them what they're going to get. In 2010, we had a state of emergency that also infringed on the rights of citizens, and it wasn't even a pandemic at the time. We had a state of emergency that saw a number of persons just get thrown into jail for no reason. Up to date, the courts are still paying um, people compensations for on false imprisonment and all kind of thing. When the state gets sued, right? Then we had where they filed injunctions against the trade union movement, where we could not have meetings publicly and so on. The same trade union movement that they came to for support. I was there. I walked with Kamala Prasad Bisesa. She may not remember me because it was a very thick crowd. And we walked with her to Avocat Junction in Faizabad. Yes. And I'm not going to forget these things, right? So, what all you're coming with now is what people will ask. What are you coming with now? We had a lot of like racism was on a real high, where people were making statements is we time now kicking people. I'm not saying that they didn't have, I'm sure that people have their bad experiences with the PNM government. But I'm saying when you get a chance to get in there and to show that you're operating different, and for the people, you have to take that chance, because first impressions last, you know? So I said a lot, probably too much. But that is exactly what I mean when I say so. I stick to the issues and to what I feel is against the interests of the people. So it's hardly about just the individual, and more so about the principle. And I would like nothing better to see sober people who for the people in positions where they could make a difference. I would like nothing better. One of the things that worry me is the fact that Trinidad has gone to the IMF, right? And that so many of our natural resources became at risk, and because of that. And I have been talking for years about diversifying the economy and not being dependent solely on the oil and gas sector, and also on revamping the farming and agricultural sector. That has been something that has been played on for a while. I see that there's a drive now because of the Vision 2525 initiative. But even though they say there's a drive, if you all look well closely, agriculture was
Mm-hmm.
one of the lowest allocations in the last budget, right? Something to take note of. I am looking at the issues, and that is what I would want to encourage Trinbagonians to do. And based on the issues, let's kick out who we have to kick out. And based on the issue again, let's bring in who we have to bring in. But we have to know where we stand with these people. We're not bringing in anybody who don't have a track record because we just like them, or who their father was, or who their mother was, and all these kinds of nonsense. We going with who are accustomed working, and who will continue working, not just trying to eat our food and stuff like that. That's what we want. That's what we're looking for. Regardless of who it is, we want to know that they want to do right by the people. They're not just going by what some global elite tell them, but by what the people want. They know what we believe works best for us. When you tell us going cashless, just out of the blues, because of, you know what I mean? Why would you want to just go cashless? Our system, look the property tax fiasco where people can't even pay their property tax online. People can't even do a bank transfer to pay the property tax. But we talking cashless and piloting cashless. Why are we trying to go cashless to start with? What would be the reason? And that's why I want to encourage people critically think. What would be a good reason to go totally cashless? We are putting people in a position to shut us down completely when we do that. As I like how I bad talking some of them now. Just imagine in the morning I go trying to go into my bank account and they block me out. Cause they like why I stay
That
on Renaissance program
that
tonight.
could be a real issue if they go cashless.
It's real. It's real. That is real, right? You lock me out of my account. I can't buy nothing now because you don't like what I say last night. You tell me that I should go to church or I should go to temple on a certain day, and I ain't go that day. So you vex, you block me out. I can't buy nothing. Or somebody hack me out, and I don't have no cash to do nothing. Like what happened with what they say happened with Massey. What who was it? B Mobile and others who they say was hacked and information was leaked to the dark web and so on. Right? The other day there was some little glitch in some I think Microsoft. Something happened and all them airports was locked down. People couldn't go nowhere in America. Banking systems was down because of that glitch. We online and we cashless, everything cashless. One glitch and nobody moves. We have to think about these things and we need to ask these politicians what you going to do about that if you get into our office. Because we don't know this one, this set that here right now, they're moving ahead to try to pilot. What the others coming to do? Right now, we need a group of people to stall that process. We going nowhere fast, you see. We going nowhere quickly. We need a politician to get in office who will stall that process right now. That's what we need. That's one of the things that we need. We need somebody who will be about promoting food security by encouraging the agriculture sector, the agricultural sector. We need someone who understands business and entrepreneurship that will take down to the people who they don't consider to be business people, educate the children, encourage entrepreneurship from as young as primary school so that the children will grow up not just getting some documents to try to work government. They're trying to be in self-employed and they're trying to employ others, right? We need a whole reprogramming
Yeah,
in the education
but
system.
Kerry, and you would have just highlighted certain things from the budget. You would have said that the farming sector was the last
One
was the
of the
one that was
priorities.
allocated. It is. I mean, come on, let's be real. I mean, I do believe, and I could say it broad on any platform. I do believe that we should just vote out one government and vote in one a next one without they telling us where's their planning moving forward. Something realistically. You understand? That is what I believe. And at the end of the day, I sure, I mean, from what I seen here, what I seen here from I could talk from this government here. What I seen here, but I ain't like what I seen, by.
The alternative, you see me? You see me? I stop talking about. I
Now,
want to say
I want to go in that deep, diverse political role in it because I could bring you on a Tuesday program and we could battle it out in it. Because there is a man doesn't take this thing and has go up in a certain gear when this thing going on. Tonight I decide to be a ladies gentleman and take it down. I see my girl on the program. Let me leave it in a particular night,
I,
Tiana.
I, I want you to know I'm not backward, but I want to say that I just find it for me personally counterproductive to debate on something that I don't think we disagree on 100%.
Mm-hmm,
I think what we have to do now is channel the energies into highlighting the pros and cons of all the parties in question. So that we because what has been happening, and not just I've been seeing it on more than one platform. We've been talking about the cons of the PNM. Have we been looking at the pros? I mean, even if we're not in support of PNM, we have to. It come like you're going to play a boxing. You're going to you're in the game of boxing. You're in the field of boxing. The boxing champion, you know what they do? They sit down and they watch how the other person does box, the techniques they use to box along their career. So they know how they're going to, you know, he's a man accustomed hitting right punches in the rib. You know you have to guard yourself in that rib. If you don't do that, you will get knocked out in your rib. What's my point? My point is you have to look at the strength of the organization and not just where they have weaknesses. And that is how we are able to build a resistance. If we
uh-huh.
don't do that,
I know
we
you're
will
a
not
militant
push
person. You're
that.
militant. You just always talk about being militant, not being weak. I know that. I know that. I know that. I know that.
And I'm saying that we have to look at the pros and cons of all the challenging organizations,
Yeah,
and we
but
need to bring it to the people. So that is
Kerry,
what you want to do on your platform.
somebody
Because
comment on the platform here. There are no pros about voting in PNM. Mr. IQ, Mr. IQ said there is no pros of voting in PNM. I agree with him. No pros.
all right, so okay, what is the pro? All right, so what I would ask Mr. IQ, right? What the question I would ask Mr. IQ is,
Nah, don't say that.
what
I will
is
call him. I will call him. There are no pros in voting PNM at all, at all, at all.
no,
IQ,
no, I
call the line one time because I don't like this road Callian going on. Call the
I
line.
want to
WhatsApp
hear
me.
Mr.
WhatsApp me. WhatsApp call if
No,
you
no,
could.
no. I don't understand how you like the road I going on. I'm talking pros and cons of all organizations. You all want to specifically look at just PNM, but I am talking all challenging organizations. We don't have just PNM challenging the general election. So talking just about PNM for me is like ignoring the fact that have other political organizations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I was particularly watching Kizelle Jackson, how she doing she thing. And I find it is she coming with some revolutionary ideas. Really and truly. I mean, it's our
Okay.
responsibility. We just go wrong, we just check. And Kizelle come with some revolutionary ideas, very, very much so. And out of politics, I mean, she helping a lot of people. We know where she getting she funding from, but she help a lot of people. Yeah, yeah, Mr. IQ. Hello. I still seen it connecting.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about Kizelle Jackson. I have seen where in the past, and a few little clips I've seen where she has
Good.
been involved in some
That's
charitable
not it.
drives.
Good night, Mr. IQ. Good night. The phone line was kind of down a little bit just now, there, man. Yeah, Kerry.
Oh yeah, I was saying that I have seen a few clippings of Kizelle Jackson's um
Yes, hello, good night.
Yes, good night,
effort.
Mr. IQ. Tell me,
Good
tell,
Jeffrey
night.
boy,
yeah.
Jeffrey,
Mm-hmm.
I am 54 years old, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
54 years old. Ever since I've been a little, Jeffrey, I don't know how I so conscious of, but ever since I've been a little boy, I've been hearing this Barney Belly talk. Remember Candace and we Lockwood talking about it. I heard when I hear Candace mention that I say, oh gosh, boy. Since there is no Jeffrey, oh gosh, listen, all you're talking so much of wisdom. You and this girl talking so much of
Yeah,
deep
that
wisdom.
carry.
All I could do is just listen.
Mhm.
All I could do is just listen, you know. But you see that pros about PNM, boy, Jeffrey, boy. Come now, man. Jeffrey is 62 years, man. Is 62 years. Is people with doctorates and master degree and all kind of thing in accounting and management course and all kind of thing they could boast about. Come now, man.
Kerry, well, you're hearing that?
What pros them
You're
have?
responding to the caller, Kerry.
Jeffrey,
Well, I
when
let
a
people
man
think
reaches
I don't
60,
want to.
he has to retire. There's call that retirement age. It come like these people live a lifetime and then do nothing to make anything better. Jeff. And all what they have is that happening all over the world. That is the excuse. You understand?
Yeah,
Imagine growing up and hearing songs like the more Africans they born down is the more Africans we come. Imagine growing up and hearing Shaka talk to me in a happy family and all these kind of things. So you grow up as a young boy thinking, boy, Africans so smart and so spiritual and so virtuous and so strong. Imagine growing up and having this idea about your people, right? Thinking that they're better than and we more and then realizing these are just a bunch of it's just ordinary. Jeffrey, all you're talking so much a wise talk that all what I could do is listen, you know, because you and this girl talking so much of wisdom. I say, Peter, if you're calling there, what you'll say, boy? These people so intelligent and the revolutionary and the Jeff. These people have no pros, boy, about them, Jeffrey. There are no pros, not after 60 years, Jeffrey. If it's 2 years of independence and we now starting, we could say, yeah, well, they make some mistake, get them some time. But after 62 years, you still telling people thing about ban your belly?
And tighten your belt.
Jeff,
And tighten your belt.
even
Fed up for that.
62 years. Jeff, let me ask you something. If I is a plumber and me is not straight now, you hire me to do that work for you, right? Let me say hire me to do a plumbing job, right?
Yeah.
You save your money because you want this plumbing work do really good. So you save up your money, you save, you invest, and you say, brother, I see that you have a doctorate in plumbing. You have a master degree in running the line and sink work. So I'm giving you this work. You have a doctorate. And I come in there as a plumber and you realize I doing nonsense. You wouldn't get rid of me, Jeffrey?
Of course, because, I mean, you're not saying what, I mean, where you say telling me you're doing and where you're actually doing is something different.
Yeah, and then I come into you and I'm telling you about, and you come into me and I tell you about Jeffrey, watch, I have a doctorate plumbing, you know, watch. And I went and I do a master degree in running the pipes and I do a little degree in putting up the pump. And then when it's time to do the work, you pay me the money and you're not seeing no progress.
Just like this government.
Come now, man.
And we reach a point that we can't really weigh all the cons again. It are no cons. It are no pros. It's only cons with them, boy.
They are cons. Yeah, no, they are cons. You understand? They are cons. But there is no con. There is no pro with it. They are cons. These people not nice. I have lived long enough. I don't like Trinidadian can't understand when people hate them. We have been so abused and have been so broken as a people. What you feel that because somebody black, that all black people loving and nice and perfect, and we are all black people are just innocent little loving victimized angels? That is what you feel as a people? Black people could be hateful and godless and wicked and evil too. People have to come to understand that, not just because you're black like me, and that means, oh, you just nice, and you just an innocent little victim, and the white man abuse we, and no black people sell. We could be evil and wicked too. Stop this nonsense with that going down. Look, I believe in the going down with my people, you know, but going down with our righteous people. Yeah. If my people righteous and good and uncorruptible and moral and virtuous, I going down with you. Sometimes the wisdom of the child have to surpass the wisdom of the parent. Not just because the parent are going down with my people. No, surpass that, evolve. Time to evolve. Time for Trinidadians to evolve beyond that stupidness, man. Are going down with my people. Your people could be wicked and nasty too. Black people could be wicked. Jeffrey, I remember when I am campaigning with Philip. Let me tell you how Trini is, I campaigning with Philip, man. So on the street in Shogunas, I giving out flyers. A young fella, he approached me. He say, yeah, boy, yeah, them people real wicked, you know, the real thief money, you know, but here him now. And if I was up there, I would have do the same thing too, you know. I'm giving you a little thing of how Trini, how some people is, And next one where I working, tell me. He say, because I telling them, well, I was going up for San, Philip put me up for San to represent San Fernando. Hear him. When you go up there, just see about your friend and your family, and forget about everybody else. You want me to become the same thing that you hate. I going up there to so Jeffrey, boy.
Don't worry, we listening to you. We listen. I know you're showing up the disparity just between a man. Yeah. A man want to separate, but he want to be just like the oppressor the same way.
Just like the bloody evil. I was going up there to represent my people. When Philip put me up for San Fernando, you want to know what I started to picture in my mind? A beautiful community. All the road paved, the drainage nice. When you step in Pleasantville, it will be like you're stepping in a different world, like you're stepping into heaven. That is why I started to see in my mind, you know. A beautiful place, everything put together real nice, because that is me. But when you see people, because a person's personality, right, is shown by how they do things, by how they present, what they say, presentation. So when you see a country in chaos, it's because the leaders are chaotic. They don't like nice things. They don't understand to see things put together. They don't have that vision. That is why when you're coming in, look, I traveling with this lady, right? And she tell me, she brought back something to my mind. She say, Pandy, there was a time Pandy was going and turn, like when you're coming into Port of Spain, all the wharf all around there. He said he was going and make it a ship in the same thing Philip Alexander was talking about. Pandy had an idea of making that a ship, a place where cruise ship will come in, and like Pandy had a vision of beautifying there, and he going to tell the people in Sea Lot something, look, I'm moving all out of there because this is the idea that I have here. And I think some politician is Robinson Rage. He says, some woman, the woman tell me, she say, go on in there and start to stir up the people and against him, you know. And well, this is all your legacy. No, don't let him come and do that. Don't let him come. And watch where there is now. Imagine the industry and the progress Trinidad, how beautiful Port of Spain would that be. She was telling me about
they didn't want that because he was an Indian.
They didn't want it. Yes.
Wow.
They didn't want that. And he say it's education. I want to put all in Pandis. I go Paul in a place and I will build school and I will it's education, all you want. And they didn't want that. Robinson Radio, I think, go on in there and stir them up against the man. You understand? And that time I was, well, as I say, the more Africans they burn down, is the more Africa. Shaka talk to me in a hap. So I thinking, boy, African, I have to support the black man and I'm going down with my people. Boy, Trinidadians have to wake up. Right now, Jeffrey, I have evolved to the point where, yes, I love my race, but my people, I realize that the battle is good versus evil. So I get to realize, Peter, they are good and bad white people. They are good and bad Chinese. They are good and bad Africans. They are good and bad Indians. So my people is the good people. That is why I'm looking for good people, honorable people, righteous people. You understand? Moral people, corruptible people.
Well, just in part, how you view Rowley on that side of the fence? He's a good man then.
Good for nothing.
Well, Peter, thanks.
For nothing.
Well, Peter, thanks to the call. You see,
Come on,
I just wanted Carrie Ann to hear, a perspective of how people does talk that.
boy,
But
but
Jeffrey,
Jeff
when
is
you
here,
say
come
you
on,
want
man.
how people
It's
that talk,
62
you're making
years,
it sound
man,
like
and all
I'm
you
not
need
on the
pan your
ground.
belly.
Oh,
Tighten your, oh gosh. Oh gosh, Jeff. All
All
right, boy,
all
all
right,
you're gonna
Peter.
ball. All what I could do is listen because you and that girl, as I say, brilliant.
lady.
Wisdom, revolutionary spirit. I like all you. I
Thanks,
like all
brother.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for sharing your view.
I'll
And
be
I'm not a,
listening on.
I am a lady, yeah, not a girl. But no, but one of the things that I do, I listen to people. I'm not hearing just to respond, and I don't feel that I have to debate with everything another person says. Again, I find that somewhat counterproductive. A person gives their feedback based on the experience encounter their walk, and you have to just respect that that is their encounter their walk. And one of the things that the caller said that I took note of, and is a position that I've had for years. I have never, first of all, I have never viewed the PNM as a black man party. I don't know who come up with that, but I never came up. I don't know who come up with that. As a matter of fact, since I know myself, Colin Members is the MP for the area that I am originally from, and he's not black. So I don't know who come up with that idea at all. It's a strange concept for me, because when I look at the PNM, I see all kind of races being a part of the selection. That's what. Now, Rowley being a black African, predominantly African man, people assumed, I guess, that because he is black, that the whole party black. I don't know who came up with that at all, but I never subscribed to that. I also never subscribed to the fact that all Africans are good. There's no good, every there's good and bad in every race. I've always been of that place, because again, I came up in a very mixed community, mixed family. So I know that it can have characters in any group of people that you come across. Um the only thing that I have, and again, I can't be vexed with no other. When people see me, they see a predominantly black woman. At the same time, I do embrace every aspect of my heritage. And the only issue that I have is the fact that every group have a right to look into the survival of their people. Nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned. Once you're not trying to hurt other people whilst you're doing it, I really don't have an issue with it. My problem is that, as the caller mentioned, that there are people within the African community who will come around with this black power talk, but really and truly, most of them are oftentimes fakes who doing it. They are trying to play on the emotions of black people to try to, most times they have some type of agenda that they're trying to forward whilst they're doing that. So they will come and they will try to regurgitate the pain of black people, and to try to sort of win you on again, this whole emotional blah blah blah. And I don't buy into that at all. I've never viewed myself as a victim in the world either. I always see myself as someone who could be victorious. I see my ancestors as people who have overcame, um and therefore I see myself as playing my role in this leg of the relay. Right? So I mean, for persons who coming around to that information, I respect, but I have come to that place a very long time. I remember, when I started voting, I have family who is very much involved in the PNM as well. And I told them flat, when you all want me to inherit something, give me land, give me money, give me good knowledge. Don't give my political party. I could determine that on my own by looking at what the political organization is offering I can assess that on my own. Give me something else.
You ain't
Give me
want
something else.
you ain't want you ain't want no political party.
No,
Yeah, right.
no.
And
I want land and money.
and I go prefer land because it seems like I mean we don't understand most black people don't understand the value of land and land very important in
I is one who understand the value. And I
it.
understand that when you have the land, you still need money because you have to build on it. The
Yeah.
infrastructure will cost,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I want both.
Watch out, here is it. Here is it. Here is
Land and
it.
money. You want to give me inheritance? Give me that. And also, I believe that the people who are placed in positions can put the people in the society in that position too. But oftentimes I realize that a lot of politicians want people to actually be dependent on them so that they could feed you with a long spoon and around election and come like, okay, now this budget some people feel good about it. But this budget was an election budget. This budget was to appease people to keep them quiet so they didn't go highlight issues leading up to the election because some public servants get a little extra change. That come like hush money. And the amnesty for tax. Now, of course, take the money and go and file your taxes. Don't let this election done in our family because see how going on. When the election done, crap or smoke your pipe. You see how you see how short the amnesty is? I think it's at 3 months.
Hmm.
Getting them filings now, because after that, let's see what happened with Chinese laundry the other day. Don't let that be you. All right. So I mean, I hearing the caller again. It's not news to me. I don't want people for some reason. Listen, I just be on the road. I just be on the road. Most of the vendors on Charlotte Street is my partners. A lot of the vendors with crystals could see this crystal big up you. Sensi, the whole the Queen Street squad. I am on the ground. I hear people opinions every day. I just don't feel that I need to debate a person's opinion because that's their opinion. And then debating it will come for some reason because I speak about things from a balanced perspective. People try to assume or they try to promote that or insinuate that I'm pro PNM.
No, it's not that. I find you giving PNM too much as stripes. You see, I want to correct the paper accurately. I don't want to give them extra mark for nothing.
No, no,
You
no.
understand?
You
If
have
if
to
they get
correct the
some
paper
if they get
accurately
something
because
wrong,
again,
give them it wrong. That's why I say.
when you don't come across balance,
Uh,
people can refute a lot of the claims that you're making. The next thing that people can assume is that you are financed to promote a one sided agenda. And one of the things I am not doing at all is trying to come across like at any point in time that I have a political bias. And again, even though that I that is my approach because that's genuinely who I am. That's not who I'm trying to be.
mhm.
People will assume, oh, she's pro PNM. No, no, no. I like to be fair with what I'm seeing and what is going on. And I'm saying pros and cons of every establishment in terms of the political parties. Bring that to the people. So that way it wouldn't come like he getting paid to say this or she getting paid to say that. Because we're not just talking about one group, we're talking about everybody, what they have, what they did, what they didn't do. Like Pandey is not, as I say, he made some statements during the pandemic that I was kind of disappointed in. But I give him his credit for the positives that he did when he was the political leader of the UNC and as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago after the when him the UNC and NAR thing. I give everybody their credit where credit is due. Saying that he didn't do nothing will only discredit any statement I say after that. Because people can literally look and see that he did something.
Yeah.
Just like people can literally look and see that yes, the PNM did something. All the infrastructure we have, for the most part, a lot of the infrastructure that we have now, they would have built. So you can't really say they ain't do nothing because it will come across like you're trying to be disingenuous and you just don't
Yes,
want to give them credit at all.
you see,
Whilst we
it's not that.
calling out the wait, Renison, hold on.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Whilst we calling out the shortcomings, we ought to be real about where they made some type of progress. Just like every other organization. And that is for me will always be my stance. Right? So for the UNC and when Pandey was there, he had something called the dollar for dollar. That was before we had the GATE program. That was a very positive development and it was very important to our society because putting education on the front line sort of not sort of it actually reduces to some extent the level of ignorance. It also puts people in a position to seek opportunity because they have a knowledge that they didn't have before and then they have the accolades to go with it. Right? It's a big deal. We talked earlier about speaking to people and they're clueless. And what I find interesting now after Pandey, Manning came with the Gate program, which was another positive thing. Which is why I find it so interesting that so many of our people still so ignorant because how we have we had 100% financing for degree programs. People who could have do 2, 3 degree and they're getting it funded. And many people didn't try to take a to hold on, take hold of none of those opportunities. And then will come and say didn't have nothing. Come on, man. Let me be real.
You see, you
They
see,
have a lot of programs like um the MyLad program. It had the MyStart CCC
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
programs
mm-hmm.
where people are stipend to actually get their own qualification that could change their life. If they don't even want to stay in Trinidad, they have that option because they have a skill, they have a
But
certification that they could roll with.
no, that is as you're
We
going
can't
down
touch
into
it.
some serious depths there in the career. I mean, let me
I,
don't go
I
inside it
want to
deep,
go in
deep, deep.
depth because hear what I'm saying. When you give me the impression that
Mm-hmm.
when I make statements that there are pros and cons, when you give me the impression that I'm saying something that is not factual, then I'm going into the depths. Now
Mm-hmm,
there
mm-hmm,
are things that we must chastise. Don't get me wrong. They are being paid to do a job by
mm-hmm.
our tax money so that we have the right to critique whatever they are doing. But we also should be fair and say, okay, this was a good move. That was a good move. But you see, this and that, we're not on that. We're not on that with them. That is where I am at. That my general approach in life. Right? So with the UNC, I could say this was a good move. When Kamala implemented I think she did the laptops. A lot of homes may not have been able to afford it. It may not seem like an expensive thing, but in fact, there are families who may not have been able to afford it. That was a good thing. She also did something, I think, along the lines of maternity benefits. I'm
and
taking notes of
and she
everything,
would have raised plenty of the benefits like the pension benefit where they would have
right?
raised it. You understand?
Those are things to take specific notes
Now,
of
you
and
talk
be
about the
fair.
MyLad program, right? The MyLad program. You understand? I don't think it. I mean, I had a brother. As a matter of fact, my brother was in the MyLad program, and the kind of horrifying things that he would have said that he would have witnessed there. I mean, I mean, from what he's saying in a nutshell, it wasn't run properly. It still is not run properly at this point in time. It still is not run properly, and plenty of the government organization are not run properly. If you're looking at efficiency and these type of thing, you're not getting that.
I will not dispute that there
Uh-huh.
are programs that need more work into and be one of the problems in our society, you see, God human resource
Mm-hmm.
is a challenge. And again, we chastise the governments, the opposition, which we have the right to do. At the same time, on our level, the people's level, the accountability still lacks. Look, for instance, I had an experience recently. right? What can I call it? Recent. It's both recent and both and long at the same time. T and Tech. I went to T and Tech to request a survey, right? I requested the survey in February of this year. When I recognized February gone, May gone, March gone, April, I decided to follow up what's going on. When I go to follow up now, I find out somebody canceled the survey. They had to put through another request for a survey, right? This is in April. In May, early May, someone came to do the site visit. The person who came was predominantly Indo descent, who asked me if the property was mine about 6 times, like he can't believe it. Although he have the document in his hand, and you cannot request a survey unless you present a property ownership document. All right, so that is that, but that is the list of the issue there. He told me somebody would be coming back. He just came to verify the location and that he would be coming with someone else to conduct the survey of the area and so on. That is May. Do you know about a month ago? Well, time flying. We're already in October, right? So that would be August.
Yeah.
Now the area that deals with most of the surveys and so on is an area that they call utilization or something, which is in the Point Lisas area, Couva area. I say, see me, I'm not going to no branch and tongue or nowhere. I going straight down there. Not knowing it, how about 3 different tea and tech in that zone by itself. So, and lucky me, out of all 3, I went to the 2 wrong ones. And I say, see me, I tired. I ain't going nowhere else today by no next branch. So I decided to stay by the second one that I went, although it was wrong and so on. When I got there was a police officer, as you know, it have police officers that are attached to those agencies and so on. A police officer standing by the door. Now, the survey is one thing, but this is a next layer. There are police woman standing by the door. And she tells me to stand up outside until she calls me. Well, apart from myself, or like 3 others. The other 3 persons who were there was elderly people. Right? I said, ma'am, I am going to customer service. I recognize that most of the people who lining up are going to pay the bill so that I should not be standing in the same line with them or shouldn't be treated in the same manner. Customer service matters tend to take longer than the cashing of paying your bill. Right? I said, and I've already been through an ordeal and so on. She decided she wanted to advise me on tea. And I said, ma'am, you are a police officer, stick to police work and let me deal with tea and tech on tea and tech matters. Right? Lo and behold, eventually she decided to open the door to let myself and the other persons who was out there with me in. When I get in there, guess what? They had a number of seats inside of that branch, like it does in other branches, that were completely empty. So you had me standing up outside the door, and all these seats, and this seating area is specifically for persons who go into the customer service area, because those, as I said, those matters tend to be longer matters. And I want to believe that the seats are also for elderly people, pregnant ladies, people with some medical issue and so on. Right? Manuel, you know my mouth. I said, then don't need the white man again for people like you. You done well trained to do it again to your own people. You taking a certain amount of pride in seeing people standing up outside the door, bracing for the hot sun when all these chairs are available inside here. You understand? I said they don't need no massa for you again. You is massa now. Right? I was blue mad. Anyhow. So who Who to be blamed for the behavior of that police at that station? Can we say that Kamala or Rowley should come down there to deal with her? Don't answer. Just a question I want to ask. The
No,
point that I'm
I
making, hold
I could
on.
answer that for you in thing.
No, hold on. And it's
Mm-hmm.
rhetorical, but hold on. You could still answer, but hold on. The workers at Tia Tech who canceling things, canceling the survey, and you have to keep running them down to do their job. Who had to be stand up behind them with a big stick to do the work? You
Carrie,
understand what I'm
Carrie,
saying?
Carrie, he is a person that studied law, and here I tell you that was that. I mean, there are two. When you're watching that situation, you watch at immediate cause and remote causes. You understand what I mean? The immediate cause is surely that of the officer. But if we have to look at the remote cause, I mean, what we have to say? Who is the body that regulate behavior and control over over them? I mean, who's supposed to?
If the body, so hear me out. If the body is doing what has to be done to implement the relevant trainings and so on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you pass out proving that you have gone through the process. And then a bunch of them come outside here acting like they never went through the process. And every minute, as a citizen, you have to be now complaining about them and complaining. You know what I learned recent? Well, I didn't even finish the tea and tech thing. I had to
Yeah,
go there.
go ahead, finish
Get
it.
get vexed in August. Threaten them to go to the regulated industries. Da 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 da. The woman tell me the man on sick leave who came to do the survey. I said, ma'am, that is not my business. And you shouldn't be volunteering that man's personal business to me. That is his personal business. My business is what has to be done here at Tea and Tech. I say, if God forbid and that man passes away, what are you telling me? The whole system shut down? Make it make sense. That is why it have supervisors, managers, and so on to be able to delegate responsibility. Right? You cannot be telling me, but he not well and he home. I want to know, and maybe somebody might have to do over the survey. I say, so who paying for the gas and all the resources and covering the money that I'm going to be losing the day that I have to take again to come on the site to visit with you? I said, listen to me. I'm going to report you. If I come back here one occasion and I don't get my costing letter from that survey, I'm going to take it at another level, right? So I went back a month after, which was last month. And this time, well, I knew not to go to those two other branches that I went to before. So I went straight down there and I done ready. But so God knows. That day, God knows I was going, and my fuse was just ready to blow. And it turns out that when I told the lady who I spoke to what was transpiring, she went somewhere and she miraculously found my costing letter. Right? So I'm saying
So
all
you
this
get through that. So you get through.
from February, I got through with the letter in September. Don't forget
Wow,
that part.
wow. But
Then the
she miraculously get it after your whole
After
cheat
I
is
went
it.
and threatened in the next branch and say I go in regulated next rounds, I say I going live, I'll be coming out in front of T and Tech, I'll be on a whole roll because there's real ship in this.
All because you're Django she. All because
I
you're
said,
Django she.
and all you can't tell me that politicians have to come here to watch all you do all your work. Right? Regardless of who it is in office. Right? You all came here when you all was applying for the job. You all were on the breadline. You needed the job so bad. You all put on your best clothes. You sat down for the interview and you gave your word you was coming to put your best foot forward. And this is what you all giving to your fellow citizens. This is what you all given to your fellow citizens. This is what we have to go through with all here. And
Now,
not only T and Tech had was to go through that with, I had to go through the chippiness with the police officer by the door too. And it's layers upon layers. So, and then people want to know why it's have crime in Trinidad. This is why. Everybody don't deal with everybody don't have spiritual foundation. Everybody don't know thou shalt not kill. Everybody went to learn that. Everybody parents and get them that upbringing. If some people retaliate, all that I had to go through, right? And they justify now doing certain things as a result of these issues. And until we start recognizing as a citizen, we had to deal with them politicians. And not even pretending about that. We need to keep them politicians on the tour, regardless of if you vote for them or not. That's our next problem we have in Trinidad. It have people who believe because they treat the political parties like football club. My team is yellow. Your team is red. Listen, regardless of who we vote for, we must constructively criticize them and keep them on the
true,
toes.
true,
Yes,
true. We should. Nice.
these people getting handsome amounts of money. They're retiring with handsome amounts of money for the you putting your finger to put them where they are. And as a result, you have the right to give kudos or to criticize whether you vote for them or not. You have the right to do that. We have a group of people in Trinidad who like to act. You see me, that my party mean say nothing, right? Or only
Ah,
bashing, or like we only bash the next one who we ain't vote for, but we ain't bashing the one. We could see they doing shippiness too, eh? But like we go ignore that and we go bash that one and bash this one. And so I not in this stupid games with people in this country. I not in this stupid and no politician in having me in this stupidness. They're
ah,
not.
ah. I mean, you ain't talk there, you preaching it. But carry on. We coming. We done went
Yes,
over
yes.
the time
Gosh, oh
already.
gosh. That when we take too long.
No, 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 no,
That
no,
when
no,
we
no,
take
no,
too
no.
long.
Use a content creator just like me. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. You
That's
understand?
when it takes too long to invite people to your platform. They got to make up for the last time you was
you
on the
had to, you had to
platform.
come back here again because you was hitting some hard, heavy issues just now there. And while saying too concerning that, we own the rights to criticize them, regardless to who. Nobody in perfect under the sun. None, none,
And
none. They're not
nobody
perfect.
should be higher than criticism. Nobody.
True.
And let me tell you something. I want to point. They're my last things I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that government come, government go. They seem to think that the how to say it, the 98% or the 99%. The 99%, apparently the 99% don't know nothing about money and don't know what to do with money. All right. So maybe some of us don't know nothing about money and we don't know what to do with money because let's be real. We didn't have financial literacy in school. We parents, a lot of us were poor doing little domestic work and thing trying to make ends meet. So how about implementing financial literacy at primary school level to start educating the children on money management so that when they reach 18, you wouldn't feel that they could only spend $20,000. How about that? One of the things I recognize when they talk about grant funding, right? For the 99 percenters. Catch what I'm saying, Ole Bright. Every time they talk about grant funding is at 20,000. With all the oil and gas and resources that run through our nation, we should have been something similar to Dubai and places places where people can literally get some type of subsistence allowance outside of having to go to the Ministry of Social Welfare and have to bend down to show them what God alone knows what they want to see for them to feel that we deserve something. All right, let me get into the nitty-gritty. People, when I talking about these people, when I talking about these politicians, when I talking about these government ministries, I not just talking because I just want to chastise to song like I just trying to politic. I getting into the nitty-gritty. I really here on the ground. I just be assistant person with real application for grant fundings and things like that. People have to prove that they're making less than $1,000, about $1,040 or $1,039. They
My
have to
God.
prove they're making less than that
Huh.
per month
Huh.
to qualify for a $15,000 grant in social welfare. And if anybody know anything about money at all, $15,000 could probably only buy a burger cart to sell on a corner. When you're done by the burger cart, you can't even buy the burger bread. Right? Why all you putting people through this kind of thing to get a small grant like a $15,000 grant? Why people have to prove I can sell two panty the way how thing expensive now and make $1,000? How you could tell the people that they had to qualify by making less than $1,039, right? So a person making $5,000 a month who is actually on the poverty line. Let us not let our false pride get besides us. $5,000 a month is poverty line money, right? You cannot pay no proper mortgage, feed yourself, go to and travel, and have no insurance policy and have no pension with that. If you don't have those basic things, child, you're in the poverty line, right?
Carrie, you're letting this thing going in my pause, girl. The Saturday is what we just call Baccanal Saturday. You're letting this thing eat me up. Don't do me that tonight now, man. Oh, God. And it's done things so all week.
Tobago, just like how all you know, the other group of people could spend millions of dollars. Start readying the 99% by educating them financially and give people real money to invest in real business. When you have a $20,000, if you get 20 trying to figure out what to do with it to make sure that it's done. And as you buy one thing, it's done. But that is all they seem to have to offer. But you know what? A lot of Trinidadians, again, not focused on having no real lucrative business. Is a quick hustle work and a little small change in the pocket and they're good with that. What about your pension? What about if, God forbid, you lose a limb? Do you think a GoFundMe will take care of that? If 20 people set up a GoFundMe at the same time, what are your chances of getting the help you need if you reach in a position like that? So we need people to be in lucrative businesses, right? And there was supposed to be contingency planning before getting rid of Petrotrin workers, TSTT workers, and all these other workers that became on the breadline, not knowing where the next meal was coming from, except if they probably had a long work life and then they could have expected some type of pension out of it.
You're getting my blood. You're boiling my blood, girl. Carrie, you are going on. You are going on. We have to think because you what I say. You see what you're saying there? I'm mandating you to come back on the program Tuesday because we just go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I don't hear no excuse. You see when you talk there, just you make my heart start to hot me here tonight. Don't do more after that Saturday.
Saturdays. People go say, hear what people go say.
Nah, don't study what people have to say, man. I'm Carrie.
I'm not studying them, but I'm telling you, somebody stripping is they say, you feel like studying them? You feel like
this platform not for that, man. It's for real issues.
People saying they're ungrateful. Why don't you take the 20 and hush them out? Well, then why when they're giving 1% money, there's not 20,000 and 10,000? Why when they're giving the other group of people money,
My
is not that?
God. You're hurting me,
Why
boy.
we must be cool with that?
Huh.
And the other people know how to spend 5 and 10 million. So get them that. Right? Why we have to be cool with that? And I'm not saying just give people money. I am saying ready people, help people to understand entrepreneurship. Help people to understand financial literacy. Look, one of the next, oh God, if I go my can of next can of
Carry
worms.
that what I'm telling you. I say I want
I
you
go
back on
hold
this
back
pro.
on
No, wait, don't think man. I want you back on this program Tuesday because Tuesday is a very serious day, you know.
I ready to give the when I ready to get licks, I give in licks
Come
on
now, man.
some
Come now, man. It's
specific matters.
licks
Yeah.
passing
I'm
because
giving licks on specific matters, and I hear what I want to hear. Hear what I want to hear because I don't want to just
look,
lick
look, look,
CPLM
look, look, all the
alone.
audience and them telling me, yeah, look, somebody say, bring she back. Bring she back. You understand? We
I
done
want to
reach the
hear
limit already. They say, bring you back in it.
time to vote. Time to vote, yes. But we want to hear who coming and what they bringing different and
Ah,
if it will be in our interest because we fed up at it. We're not just changing hands for just no small talk. We want to hear. I'm not just here because I hear they say men just go by what they see and women just go by what they, well I don't reason like most apparently like I like to see. I like to see the proof is in the pudding. I want to hear what are we doing to encourage diversification in our economy. What are we doing to simplify the process to help people to get into effective businesses and have longevity in the
ah,
businesses? The
ah,
agri-processing industry. What are we doing to help the labeling of products and to qualify these products so that we can export and have an increase in our GDP? What we doing? Because right now, oh God, as I say, must stop here. To be continued. We will stop here.
Carrie,
To be continued.
Carrie, you could say what you want.
I
You see
want to get
Tuesday,
into the regime.
You see Tuesday, Carrie, wherever you have to do, I want you to put it aside for me, please, because you
Oh
start
gosh.
someday, the viewers
What
say bring
happened?
she back, everybody saying bring you back, let me get this thing, let me get this thing down,
I
pa.
want the facts. I want people to take notes. And I want people to when I'm coming back,
Tuesday,
we
Tuesday,
want to
you're telling me about when you're coming back. You're
take
coming back
notes.
Tuesday.
And I want you all to ask your politician, regardless of who you feeling, or ask all of them. You notice we don't have no kind of national debate going on. We don't have no
Ah,
national debate going on.
ah,
What they're coming with to the table
ah,
for the next 5 years. What they're coming with to the table. All we hearing is about digitalizing and digital ID. What is coming for in the interest of the people for the next 5 years? Okay, and for those who come in to challenge the incumbent, what is your manifesto? And again, we need to hold them accountable for what is because people will come with a manifesto. Like if you know how people is, I've been to programs in academia. You come to impress the professor and so on. So you well do your research and you come to, but when you're done and you get a certification and you have this document, worthless. We're
mm-hmm,
not doing that.
mm-hmm,
Don't come
mm-hmm.
to try to just give us no small talk and we will be holding you at account because here what? We either going to be trying to get an earlier election if you're in certain to act, you're in working, or we going to vote you out. We stopping party loyalty and we're looking at what is in the interest of the people. I said what I said.
Ah. I like yeah, look the people look people say they're looking forward for Tuesday, so that is it. Carry on. I mean,
And guys, sorry to say, I know it's my fault
yeah, carry on.
that
Keep
it's
on
going
up a
so
whole
long.
hour extra, a whole hour. It's just 2 hours in it. But the topic was going down a particular road that we need to expound on it. You know.
But I want to say, the original topic was know your rights as it relates to consumer laws in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, we divulged, we digressed, but the original topic was know your rights. You have the right to return items, you have the right to refund once it is especially a manufacturer defect. Make sure and get your receipts. We don't want to lose those points. Make sure nobody don't shame you. And if they try to stand up, stand on business. If they try to shame you when you carry back the item, that's your hard-earned money. That's your hard-earned money, and you have the right to getting it back. You know what I mean? Do you know in the US, even there are cases where people might carry a dress home. The item not defective, but once the tag did not remove from that, do you know they can take the item right back? And they take it back. I don't know how we get so accustomed to abuse in our culture that we don't know the difference anymore. Right? So that's it. That's the end of my, you know.
Well, Kerry, you know it's always a pleasure to have you here. And we
Yes,
will
thanks.
keep in contact because coming Tuesday, coming I see that this will be a power pack program on Tuesday, but you're making my blood boil, you know, girl. I can't take on that.
I coming back to talk pension talk,
Pension
right?
talk.
I coming back to talk pension talk. I coming back to talk social welfare and grants. I'm coming back to talk about a lot of the issues that people are faced with on the ground that needs to be addressed, not just by anybody who might be in authority now, but anybody who's considering coming into the political arena. We want answers, and we need these matters to be addressed. It can't continue so. It can't continue so. Waiting 3 years for a grant, 2 years for a grant, a year and something. And then when you go to check on it, it's like if you come to beg for something that they promoting as this big incentive. You know what I mean? I am a registered farmer. I applied for some incentive over a year and a half ago. And when I went to check up on it, one of the officers laughing at me. He said, "How long you say it in?" I said, "A year and a half." He said, the man laughing. He said, "Girl, little people here had that thing here 4 years waiting. Yours come like it just rich." I'm laughing. But if we really want to encourage farming, why we will put the farmers through that? All right. I'm coming back to talk about all of that. Right? So is it at 7:30 on Tuesday?
7:30 on Tuesday. 7:30 on Tuesday. So we coming
All
back.
right.
So you're coming back Tuesday. So Miss Lady, there are a lot of people want to hear about that pension thing, but very informative. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good
So
conversation. Thanks for the caller who calling as well. All views are respected. All views
now on
are
Tuesday they go
respected.
flood the line. I mean, they didn't know they call tonight. That Tuesday they
And
go
all it,
flood the line.
yeah, call in Tuesday too and give me all your 2 cents. Tell us your grows. Where's your experience that may not have been mine? You know, we need people sharing these things, and we need to start moving in on these organizations too. I normally would write letters and so on. We need to start staging protests in front of these places, not caring if your face is seen, because then that we could talk how much we want, but if we ain't ready to act, we win get what we want. And we in an election year. Now is the time to embarrass them.
I know you're militant like that, I know you're militant
Now
like
is
that.
the
I know
time
we
to
was in
embarrass them.
strategic meeting and you was the only someone I hear saying we have to be militant. You was the only person that I hear say that. So
I well,
yeah. You say that. You say that, self. You
but
say that.
militants is an important thing, you know. Militants is a big deal. Militants is discipline. Militant is discipline. If you look at the military, you have to learn discipline, and you have to be up a certain time. You have to do your drills. You have to be ready. So it's a big deal. All right, guys, have a good night. Stay blessed.
All right, Kerry and John. We will see you
Take
again on
care.
Tuesday.
All right. Bye
Okay
bye.
then. Well, audience. Well, there you have it. So on Tuesday coming, Saturday is supposed to be Baccanal Saturday. People are take away from the program today because you know it was. I believe there are certain things that needed to be said. I really believe that. Doesn't like to get fired up because I might rather go and take a Panadol just now. So to say in the least, join us here on Tuesday. A power pack program is going to take place here, right here, Tuesday. That is why when we would have brought on Miss Lynch, that would have explicitly talked about Jennifer Frederick and why you shouldn't accept this blasted stinking dirty 4%. All of this is reasons why. I mean, we could go over and just to show you. This is the individual there. And she would have been talking thing about Leroy, but he's evil. He shouldn't be going to no thing. You understand?
Greeting to all public officers and all those who would listen.
Yes, you want people to accept 4%.
The Minister of Finance would have announced that for the period 2020, 21 and 22, there's a 5% offer for civil servants, public officers, public sector workers. The unfortunate thing is this: the Public Services Association will not be able to go and sit before the CPO for that period 2020, 21 and 22. And why not?
And that is the reason why we told you see, that's why we say Jennifer must shut him out. Because of things like that. But again, we will dive right into this program Tuesday coming. And as we would have said, a matter of fact, the people in the area, Gonzal, would have rejected the PNM. They don't want them down there. It's only games they're playing with people. That's what they're saying. It's only games they're playing. They don't want them in Gonzal. Tall. And we have something to show about this lady who would have made that gesture there. So just to tell you just to go in what we are talking about.
All due respect, right? Always be leader, right? And it's a real people thing. My name is Adrian Andrews. I'm from Cochrane Village, Grapo. I'm an ex-Olevan, right? Right? If you can't do something for me, don't tell me you're going to do it, right? I papi show thing, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? This big man, right? That's cheese, right? I just go all out, right? And if you can't dance to me, you can't dance alone, right? And if you can't do something for me, don't say you could do it. And you're running wild like a jet. And you can't do it, right? I respect that, right? If you tell me you can't do something, I can't do nothing for that, right? Don't tell me you will bust all this shot and running wild like a jet. They never feel like a shopping man, right? And I can ride that big man on 50 years, right? Papi sugar, right? Right? Promise, don't do this. Tell what? You been down, be for you, you don't know that, right? Don't papi sugar. From right if you then I say so and so you say I'm put that cap on the cap. So I'm coming soon, I'm wasting my time, man. Time is money, I was and I papi shooting, right?
That is the PNM there in the Cochrane area. People don't want to hear no old talk. People don't want to hear no talk. People want action. That is what's taking place there. People fed up in this area. They're fed up in Cochrane. They're fed up in KTO. They're fed up in Gonzal. They're fed up in Paraland. They're fed up in Salic Trace. They're fed up out here. Oh, you're lucky or people didn't throw a pail of pee on some out here. They don't want to hear in these areas. Stop going by people and antagonizing them. They don't want J.D. Kennedy by. People fed up at this PNM. This reincarnation of PNM is the worst. It's the worst. So again, without further ado, we are signing out here tonight. We signing out until next time. Just what I said. Until next time, we are going to lay this thing on you heavy like butter.